Chapter 3678. Ahem. How did you know? Come on. The whole world knows that you like my auntie, okay? And, Little Bean, is your auntie coming today? Anne asked in a low voice. Although he was talking to a kid, he still felt embarrassed. Come closer and I'll tell you. Little Bean beckoned at him and said mysteriously. Excited, Anne moved closer and put his ear close to Little Bean's mouth. I heard that even my mommy doesn't know if my auntie is coming today. And, isn't that obvious? It's as good as not saying anything. And didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Who would have thought that he would be fooled by a child despite his reputation? Ha ha ha. Don't be silly. Uncle Anne, you're the cutest when you're silly. And, okay. I won't tease you anymore. I'm going to eat salad with bouillon. Go. Really? You shouldn't have asked. And stood up dejectedly. Forget it. Since you're so impatient, I'll tell you. According to my analysis, my auntie will come tonight. Why? And looked at Little Bean in puzzlement. It's because my aunt and my mommy are very close. Every time my aunt comes to my house, she chases my daddy to sleep in the study and snatches my mommy's bed. Tell me, with such deep sisterly love, how can she not come to celebrate mommy's birthday? She only comes once a year. Really? And chuckled. Absolutely. Ha. Hearing what you said, it's very likely that she'll come. Anne's mood improved a lot and he seemed to have a lot more hope. But Uncle Anne, don't be happy too early. Why? Hearing the hidden meaning in Little Bean's words, Anne's heart sank again. If my auntie comes this time, I guess, she won't come alone. She has a boyfriend. Do you know that? I heard. That uncle is super handsome, and super cool, with a head full of silver hair, just like the main character in anime. You definitely can't compete in looks, nor can you compete in wealth. He's a century-old aristocrat. If you compete in martial arts, you'll have to see. After all, I've never seen Uncle Chow fight. You're stabbing me in the heart again. Anne's smile was uglier than his crying face. No, I'm asking you to accept the cruel reality. So, don't be happy that my aunt is here. She's bringing people here, and you'll definitely be tortured. Alright, little ancestor. You're making me want to jump into the Yellow River. If you say that, I'll continue to scold you. Little Bean put the fruit platter aside and put her hands on her hips. And was speechless. You've been with handsome Sue for so long. Haven't you learned from him that he won't give up? Look at him. He's been in love with my mom for so many years. Even when she's pregnant, he's never given up. But you've only been in love with my auntie for so long. What else can I do? Do I have to fight him fairly? Little Anne was amused. A fair duel is unlikely, but if you can beat my aunt, I think you still have a chance. Forget it, I'll just jump into the Yellow River. She wanted him to hit Lu Yen. Was she kidding? Wasn't that just asking for a beating? He heard that Lu Yan's close combat skills were among the top 10 in the world. Otherwise, she wouldn't be so domineering in the mercenary world. After being tortured by Little Bean, and was no longer in the mood to continue eating. He went to Su Yu's private room to continue watching them play cards. Hua Min was a bit tired and wanted to go back to his room to rest for a few minutes and change his clothes. But to her surprise, as soon as she entered the private lounge, she saw that thing, and her face turned pale with fright. Chapter 3679. Hua Min saw, there was a wedding gown hanging in the room. It was the one she had asked Chen Jia to throw away during the day. It was the blood-stained wedding gown that Hua Xiqian had personally designed and sent to her. Why is it here? Hua Min wasn't a timid person. She wasn't afraid of the wedding gown, but Hua Xiqian's split personality. This damn thing was following her like a shadow. What did that prove? Either someone was behind it in Hua Xiqian's name. Or, Hua Xiqian was back. Yes, he was back. Huamin picked up her phone in a panic and called Qin Jie. Jie, come quickly. I'm in the innermost private room on the 3rd floor. Less than a minute after she hung up, Qin Jie ran up, panting. Sister Mian, what's wrong? What happened? Why are you so flustered? Qin Jie had been Huamin's assistant for a long time and knew her well. She was a calm person and would never be so agitated. But just now on the phone, her voice was clearly uneasy. Little Jie, look, Huamin pointed at the white wedding gown hanging in the room. It was a blood-stained white wedding gown. Qin Jie was scared out of her wits. She quickly covered her mouth to stop herself from screaming. Sister Mian, how did this happen? Who let it in? Jie, think carefully. I asked you to throw the wedding gown away. Where did you throw it? I threw it in the trash can in our hospital. Did someone follow you when you went there? No. I deliberately chose a remote place and threw it in a deserted place. That trash can is taken away every afternoon to be disposed of. How could it be? Sister Mian, do you think it's the same gown? I'm not sure. It's hard to say. But what I'm sure of now is that someone came into this room. That person did everything for me to see. Sister Mian, wouldn't you be in danger? Why don't you go back first? Qin Jie was scared as well. Huamin had been pregnant for so many months, and there weren't many days left before she was due to give birth. If anything were to happen on the ship, the consequences would be unimaginable. It's okay. Don't tell anyone about this, and don't tell my husband either. But I think it's safer for you to know. No, I don't want him to follow me and live in fear. At this point, I don't care if he's a human or a ghost. I don't care why he's trying to be mysterious. I'm going to find out. Then, Huamin and Qin Jie removed the blood-stained wedding dress. Then, Huamin put her in a black plastic bag and watched as the bag was thrown into the sea. This time, this damned thing wouldn't come back, right? What Huamin didn't know was that while she was doing all this, there was a pair of eyes staring at her in the dark. After throwing away the wedding dress, Huamian went to the surveillance room. In order to ensure the safety of the ship, Qin Chu had already ordered people to install surveillance cameras in every corner of the ship. A young lady. Seeing Huamin, the security guard in the surveillance room stood up immediately. Show me all the surveillance cameras on the 3rd floor. Every single one of them. Yes, a young lady. Then, Huamin stood behind the security guard and watched him skillfully check the surveillance cameras. He had been watching them since the morning. The staff came and went, but there was nothing suspicious. Until just now, there was nothing suspicious. How is that possible? A young lady, did you lose something? Seeing Huamin's pale face, the security guard asked anxiously. No strangers went to the 3rd floor. Huamin asked again. No, a young lady. You saw it yourself. Only 2 maids cleaned the room. No one else entered your room. Hearing this, Huamin panicked even more. Then, how did the wedding dress get in there? Chapter 3680. A young lady, what did you lose? We'll help you find it. The security guard tried his best to please the hostess. No, I didn't lose anything. Thank you. Seeing that the surveillance cameras didn't find anything, Huamin didn't want to waste any more time. He turned around and left the surveillance room. Gao Ran arrived a little late. He had planned to come earlier with Zhu Lingling and Gao Buyuan. However, there was a sudden murder in the city, so he had to go take a look. When he arrived, the entrance was almost sealed. Chu. You're here. Is the case okay? It's fine. It's just a group of hooligans fighting. One of them died. The victim and the suspect are both very poor. One is dead, and the other turned himself in and is willing to go to jail. It's much simpler. That's good. Chu, why do you look so worried? What happened? Did I? Of course. Gao Ran was Qin Chu's best friend. They had known each other since they were young. Therefore, other than Huamin, only Gao Ran understood Qin Chu's subtle expressions. Gao Ran, how many men do you have? You mean the police force? Not counting the night patrols, there are about 45. Can you transfer them over? Transfer them over. As an entrepreneur, I'll apply for protection from the police. Ask all your men to come over. What? What's going on? Is someone attacking your ship? Gao Ran joked. I have a feeling that tonight won't be peaceful. Qin Chu couldn't describe the feeling. Perhaps it was because it was too quiet. It was so quiet that it was a little strange. Up until now, nothing had happened. This shouldn't be. Because Huamin's identity had been exposed. They celebrated their birthday in such a grand manner on a cruise ship. Those people wouldn't be indifferent, be it Ian, Hua Xiqian who escaped, or the mysterious masked men who came later. Their motives were clear. But until now, the ship was eerily quiet. This made Qin Chu very uneasy. Of course, Huamin didn't tell Qin Chu about the wedding dress. If he did, he would be more careful. Your men are all here. Gao Ran glanced at Qin Chu's men who often worked for him come. Huamin's bodyguards and South Hill Manor's bodyguards come out. It was like they were going to war. They're all here. Could it be that someone is here to cause trouble? It's hard to say, Qin Chu said simply. Then I'll call them now. Seeing Qin Chu's serious expression, Gao Ran knew he wasn't joking. Now that Huamian was pregnant, it was normal for Qin Chu to be nervous. Therefore, without hesitation, Gao Ran called his superior for instructions. He said that there was a large-scale party here, and to maintain order, he needed to send people over. Of course, the higher-ups agreed, because Gao Ran was the one who did all the dirty work. When he got the credit, the higher-ups had to take responsibility for it. So, Gao Ran's application was easily approved. 8 p.m., the large-scale show officially began. Tang Chuan and Qin Ning prepared it personally. It was as luxurious as the New Year's gala. There were crosstalks, skits, acrobatics, singers, and dance performances. It was very exciting. After the show started, everyone gathered in the hall one after another. Huamin was still looking around uneasily. What's wrong? Qin Chu put his arm around her shoulder. Honey, Nye Lingxian is missing. Chapter 3681. Hearing Huamin's words, Qin Chu realized that he hadn't seen this woman for a long time. I'll send someone to look for her. Don't alert her, Huamin reminded him. Okay. Be careful too. Okay. After the couple had a low-key discussion, Qin Chu stood up and led his men to look for Nye Lingxian. Huamin stayed to watch the show. To be honest, she had been anxious all day. She wasn't in the mood to watch the show or the songs on the stage. Mommy, Pudding sat down at some point. What's wrong, Pudding? You don't look well. Are you tired? I'm fine. Is your brother being naughty? Pudding thought it was the second baby in her mommy's belly being naughty. No. He's very good. Mommy is really fine. Then, Mommy, have a puff. Pudding picked up a cream puff and handed it to Huamin. Huamin ate it from his daughter's mouth. Then, Pudding left in relief. Huamin looked down at his phone, there was no response. He looked around. Everyone seemed to be engrossed in the show and didn't notice that someone had come to the boat. When Suyu sat down and watched the show, he realized that he was so close to Han Yueyao, there was only one person between them. Hi. Suyu called her. What's up? Han Yueyao's attitude was extremely cold. Come sit here. No. Suyu, helpless, Suyu said to the person beside him. Get up. Let's switch seats. Okay. Seeing that it was Su Yu, the female audience member in the middle didn't argue and quickly switched seats. Su Yu stood up and sat down beside Han Yueyao. Did you eat tonight? It's none of your business. Damn it. Are you crazy? You're so angry. Su Yu didn't know why she was angry. Did you eat gunpowder? Be careful of the explosion. Stay away from me. Oh, little girl. Don't push your luck. You should play less with Xiao Xiao in the future. That damned girl doesn't know anything else, but she's a good teacher. Su Yu complained. Yes, Su Xiao Xiao, this niece, made him worry a lot. When Su Yu's father had asked him to bring his daughter to Imperial Star, he had refused. Because in the family, they had long heard that Xiao Xiao was a devil incarnate. However, Su Yu's grandfather had spoken, so he had no choice but to do so. In the past year or so, this girl had caused a lot of trouble. The strange thing was that Su Xiao Xiao never made friends. She was always alone and hung out with those hooligans. Su Yu was surprised to find that he was so close to Han Yueyao. Xiao Xiao is doing very well. You seem to be the worst in the Su family. Su Yu, madam, I didn't piss you off today, did I? I just returned you a few thousand yuan. Who cares about the ocean? Do you think that nothing can be solved with money? Then you don't want it. Take it back. Su Yu reached out his hand. You just pooped and sat back, Su Yu, hey, you're a girl. Can you pay attention to your image? How can you say something like that? Su Yu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. When Han Yueyao was rude, she was quite violent. For people like you, I'll say whatever I want. Damn it. What's wrong with you? Weren't you protecting me a moment ago? My brain was damaged just now. Now I'm normal, Su Yu, okay, I won't talk to you anymore. We can't have a pleasant conversation anymore. Seeing Han Yueyao's attitude, Su Yu didn't dare to say more and continued watching the show while eating sunflower seeds. At this moment, a tall masked clown appeared on the stage and began to perform magic. The atmosphere was lively, he even made a rose in front of everyone and handed it to Huamian, who was still in a daze. But for some reason, Huamin felt this person was very familiar and strange. Ning Ning, where did you find these performers? Huamin lowered his head and asked Qin Ning who was sitting beside him. Chapter 3682. They were all contacted by Tang Chuan's friends. Some of the more famous ones used Lord Su's name. Qin Ning didn't realize anything and didn't know why her sister-in-law was so worried. Oh, I see. Huamin was still absent-minded. Sister-in-law, what's wrong? Is something wrong? Qin Ning looked at her sister-in-law's subtle expression and guessed. Nothing, I'm just asking. In fact, Huamin didn't want more people to know about the things that made her feel uneasy. So, she sat in the first row and continued to watch the show. The clown on the stage seemed to be very popular. Everyone applauded and he played a variety of tricks. But, Huamian had a feeling that the clown was staring at her the whole time. She even had the urge to jump on the stage and take off the clown's mask. She wanted to see what kind of face was under the mask. On an island in Southeast Asia, Ian was lying on the balcony of a seaside villa, drinking colorful juice. Yes, juice. In front of him was a tablet. The screen showed everything that was happening on Huamin's birthday cruise. Look, it's so lively on the cruise, Ian said in German. No one dared to talk to him. They seemed to be used to their boss talking to himself. Huamin, this little girl. I'm really curious. She seems to have found something. Ian zoomed in on Huamin's camera and saw that she was looking at the clown with a strange expression. Master, is the clown. It's him. I'd recognize him even if he turned into ashes. But I'm curious. How did he get in? Why didn't I see him on the surveillance cameras? Maybe it's the power behind him. It seems to be a very mysterious organization. Otherwise, he wouldn't have looked down on you and Master Nalo. Hee, I hope he can take off his mask later so that I can show it to my good brother. Let him see that the old lover he has been looking for so long is back. But he went to put on the mask to see his little lover. These things have nothing to do with him. Don't think too much. We'll follow them closely. If Lu Yen appears, if that girl appears, do you believe that all the electronic equipment on the ship will malfunction? Because she has that kind of ability. Ian smiled. Having fought with Lu Yen so many times, she knew her tricks very well. It doesn't matter. Our men have already surrounded the ship. Even if there are no electronic devices, we can still sink the cruise ship in 3 minutes. Idiot, why did you sink it? I always wanted to capture it alive, Ian scolded. Yes, sir. We will do our best to capture them all alive. Let's hope that's the case. This night is so beautiful. Let's continue to party then. Ha, Ian smiled creepily. He picked up the juice and continued to drink. He seemed to have everything under his control. Of course, he only wanted the things that were valuable to him. Whether it was Huamin or Lu Yen, they were the best hostages for him. As for the traitor Hua Xiqian, he wanted to talk to him. Things were getting more and more interesting. At this moment, Qin Chu and his men were searching every corner of the cruise ship for the missing Nie Lingxian. He and Huamin both believed that Nie Lingshuan's disappearance wasn't an accident but a conspiracy. Chapter 3683. The clown's performance quickly ended. Huamin wasn't sure if he was hallucinating. Before the clown left the stage, he gave Huamin a strange smile. That's right, it was a strange smile. That smile had a deeper meaning. Huamin felt a chill run down his spine. Sister-in-law, are you okay? You look terrible. I'm fine. I'm a little cold. I'll go get a jacket. With that, Huamin stood up and left. After the clown left the stage, the next performance was a famous talk show actor. This show had been very popular recently, so many people were looking forward to it. Not many people paid attention to Huamin's departure. Everyone was attracted by the show. Even Suyu didn't notice where Huamin went. Suyu was also a fan of this talk show star, so he watched the show attentively. Hey, do you like him? Suyu took the initiative to chat with Han Yueyao. No. Damn. Don't you think his performance is funny? Suyu was puzzled. I can only say that you're not easily amused. Han Yueyao glanced at Suyu faintly. Suyu, forget it, pretend I didn't talk to you. People like you don't know how to do anything else, but you're good at being a party pooper. Who asked you to ask me? Han Yueyao rolled her eyes at Suyu. She was still upset about the money Suyu had given her just now. But obviously, men and women would always think differently. Suyu had already forgotten about it, but Han Yueyao was still upset and conflicted. No wonder relationship experts said that most men didn't know why their girlfriends were angry. The rest of them couldn't even tell that their girlfriends were angry. How slow were they? Although she was angry, Han Yueyao still sat beside Suyu and didn't leave. She opened her bag and took out a bag of dates. This was one of her favorite snacks. Whether she was in a bad mood or a good mood, she would eat it because it was sweet. To her surprise, the moment she opened the bag, Suyu shamelessly reached out his hand, grabbed a date, and put it in his mouth. Then, his eyes were fixed on the stage from the beginning to the end. Han Yueyao was about to lose her temper when she saw Suyu laughing with everyone else. This was because the talk show actors on stage were beginning to show off their burdens. The laughs were extremely concentrated. She didn't know what to do when she saw Suyu's silly smile at such a close distance. In the end, she didn't say anything. At this moment, Han Yueyao's was speechless. Eat, why aren't you eating? Han Yueyao's face darkened. Damn it. You've eaten all the food S's, SSSS your after Su's T, S right, Sheikh SSSS. President Su, I have to hand it to you for being such a shameless boss. If eating a few of your candied dates is shameless enough, then do you believe that I can do something even more shameless? Then, Siyu leaned close to Han Yueao's face. She was so scared that her face turned red. What are you doing? Don't do anything rash. Han Yueao felt her heart race. This was the first time she had seen such a weird boss. Suddenly, Siyu raised his sticky hand and wiped it on Han Yueao's face. The sticky feeling immediately hit her in the face. Su. You. Han Yueao felt like she was drunk, completely drunk. However, she knew that she had misunderstood what Siyu meant by something even more shameless. It seemed like she had misunderstood. Backstage, at the actor's makeup removal area. At this moment, the clown was sitting in front of the mirror. He slowly raised his hand and was about to take off his mask. Huamin pushed the door open and walked in suddenly. Their eyes met, and the air froze for a few seconds. You. Huamin only managed to say one word before he froze. She didn't know if her guess was right. Chapter 3684. The clown in the mask smiled. It was a mocking smile directed at Huamin. Seeing this, Huamin couldn't take it anymore and shouted, Hua Xiqian, I know you're back. Stop pretending. Who is? Hua Xiqian. It was a man's hoarse voice. It wasn't a voice that Huamin was familiar with. Huamin was shocked. Was she mistaken? That shouldn't be, she clearly felt that Hua Xiqian was on this cruise ship. That white wedding dress with blood. Huamin frowned slightly and walked up to the clown in the mask. She took off his mask and saw his face. Huamin was dumbfounded. It wasn't him, it really wasn't him. It was an unfamiliar face. He looked to be in his early 20s. He also looked young. How could he be Hua Xiqian? But through the mask, she clearly felt that this clown was, for a moment, Huamin's heart was in a mess. You've got the wrong person, madam, sorry. Huamin lowered her head and said this. Then, she quickly turned and left. Then, the clown looked at Huamin leaving in a panic and smiled proudly. After Huamin left, she suddenly felt her heart beating faster. Her sixth sense had never failed her. This shouldn't be the result. How could that clown be an unrelated person? Huamin's mind raced. What was wrong? Suddenly, a thought flashed through her mind. Then, she quickly ran back to the dressing room. As expected, the clown was gone. It seemed that Hua Xiqian also had helpers. The person just now was probably with him. Thinking that Hua Xiqian's accomplices might have already boarded the ship, Huamin's heart was once again in a state of panic. Did that mean that her family and friends were in danger? Thinking of this, Huamin turned around and opened the door to go out and look for Qin Chu. However, she was surprised to find that the door had been locked. She thought it was just her imagination, so she used more strength to pull it a few more times. It was indeed locked. This time, she finally calmed down. Conspiracy, it was all a conspiracy. Nia Lingshuan's return, her abnormal behavior, and her disappearance. Clown, mask, wedding dress stained with blood, all of this, seemed to be controlled by someone. Huamin's mind was working quickly to sort out the cause and effect. Then, a familiar voice came from behind him, Hello, little sister Mian. Her body jerked when she heard the voice. He turned around, and sure enough, it was Hua Xiqian. He held the clown mask in his hand. She felt that the person on the stage just now should be him. She had never felt so strongly before. The mysterious package she received at the hospital, the wedding dress, and the phone call. She knew that if Hua Xiqian didn't die, the entanglement wouldn't end. Jack, Huamin looked at the familiar face calmly and called out his name. You've got the wrong person. I'm your big brother Qian. Hua Xiqian smiled and sat on the chair. He held the mask in his left hand and tapped his leg with his right hand. It was very rhythmic, but in this specific enclosed space, it was extremely strange. Don't lie to me. I've known him for so many years, and I can still tell. Hua Xiqian doesn't have the kind of eyes you have. Ha ha ha, what kind of eyes do I have? Hua Xiqian, or rather, Jack, laughed hoarsely and asked Hua Min. I told you, although he's bad, he still has a trace of humanity. But you have none at all. Hua Min looked at him calmly. Jack's eyes were filled with danger and wildness. It was the most primitive and cruel look in an animal's eyes. Hua Min was right. Chapter 3685. Tisk, TSK. No wonder he likes you so much. Even though you're pregnant, you're still ridiculously smart. Cut the crap. What's your purpose for coming back? What do you think is the most important thing I want to do when I return? Kill me. Hua Min knew Jack hated her to the core. The biggest conflict between them was the time they spent on the deserted island. Hua Mian confronted him for a few days, and in the end, Jack suffered greatly. Unlike Hua Xiqian, he didn't have any pity for Hua Min, he just wanted to kill her. I do want you dead, but unfortunately, my boss wants you alive. Jack smiled. Your boss? Who is it? Do you think I'll tell you? The people who saved you. Hua Mian remembered the mysterious people who had saved Hua Mian from Lu Yen that night. They had landed in a helicopter and were all highly skilled. Yes. Did they capture me for the thing in my father's hands? I'm not sure about that. I'm only in charge of capturing people. It's a good time to settle the score with you. Hua Min, my boss said to capture you alive but didn't say I can't cripple you. You little bitch made me suffer so much. Tell me, how should I deal with you? Should I cut off your hands first or pull out your tendons? Jack stood up and threw the clown mask on the ground. Hua Min leaned against the door tightly. Oh, that's not fun. I'd better take out the bastard in your belly first. I heard that a 6-month-old fetus can be made into soup. It's very nutritious. If you dare to touch my baby, I'll make you wish you were dead. Hua Min glared at Hua Xiqian fiercely. Yes, no one could touch her baby. It was a mother's instinct. Ha, make me wish I was dead. Do you have the ability? Don't expect your husband to come and save you. He's playing hide-and-seek with Miss Nie right now. He's not in the mood to care about you. Sure enough, you're in cahoots. Hua Min finally confirmed her guess. She didn't know what method these people used. But something was wrong with Nie Lingshuan's return this time. At first, she thought it was just to see Suyu, but it turned out that Suyu wasn't Nie Lingshuan's purpose. Your husband isn't stupid, but he was still fooled by such a simple trick. Hua Min, let's see who can save you this time. Jack walked closer to Hua Min. Hua Mian was afraid of Jack because his second personality was a psychopath who was almost crazy. He was capable of doing anything. After fighting with him several times, Hua Mian was traumatized. That was why she felt uneasy the whole day when she saw the blood-stained wedding gowns. What was to come had come. She thought she would be afraid, but at this moment, she felt much more at ease. It was as if she had finally faced this moment. Hua Xiqian, do you think no one can save me other than my husband? Don't you know that my sister is here too? Hua Min smiled and said word by word. His eyes were full of laughter, mockery, and confidence. You said Lu Yen is on this boat? Do you think she won't come on my birthday? Don't lie to me. We've received confirmation that Lu Yen didn't enter the country. Haha, who is Yen? If you can find out that she entered the country, then she's not the omnipotent Lu Yen. Hua Min's hearty laughter made Jack wary. His face darkened as he tried to figure out the truth of Hua Min's words. Chapter 3686. Just as Hua Xiqian lowered his head and was distracted, 2 silver needles appeared in Hua Min's hands out of nowhere. She stretched out her hand and threw the silver needles. Hua Xiqian didn't expect Hua Min to be so nimble. When he saw her before, she still looked weak and delicate. But now, she could use so much strength to throw the silver needles several meters away. When Hua Xiqian was hit by the silver needles, he suddenly realized what was going on. So, this is your scheme. Lin Fan was stunned. There's anesthetic on them. You'll pass out in less than 10 seconds, she was very confident in Hua Min's own anesthetic. Ha, is that so? After speaking, Hua Xiqian raised his hand and pulled out the 2 silver needles that were stuck in his arm one by one. With a clang, he threw them on the ground. Hua Min counted to 10 in his heart. The anesthetic was so strong that even an elephant would feel it, let alone a living person. But 10 seconds passed, and Hua Xiqian was still standing there. Are you surprised that I'm fine? You. Hua Min was indeed surprised. That's because someone injected something into my body. Your anesthetic doesn't work on me. After speaking, Hua Xiqian suddenly pounced on him. Hua Min reacted quickly and dodged to the side. But after all, she was a few months pregnant and was still a little heavy. Just this one move was enough to make her pant. She knew that if she continued to deal with Hua Xiqian like this, she would really be done for. Would the child be in danger? Hua Min tried to calm himself down and think of a solution. Just then, the door was suddenly kicked open from the outside. The person who came in raised his gun and fired. But Hua Xiqian, also known as Jack, reacted quickly and dodged. Hubby, seeing that it was Qin Chu, Hua Min was completely relieved. Qin Chu glanced at Hua Min. Seeing that she was fine, he was finally relieved. Then, he continued to fire at Hua Xiqian. Hua Xiqian and his men had probably done something to the room long ago. That was why when he saw Qin Chu enter, he was shocked. Then he slipped out of the side door. However, this was the sea. No matter how he ran, there was no way he could leave the cruise ship. You guys, continue the chase. Search floor by floor. If you see any dangerous people, kill them without asking for permission. Qin Chu ordered coldly. Yes, President Qin. A few highly skilled bodyguards followed his orders and chased after him. Qin Chu hurried over and picked up Hua Min. Honey, are you okay? I'm fine. You came just in time. Ha, otherwise, I would have been in trouble. How can you still laugh? Qin Chu was furious. This woman was getting more and more out of control. He was almost scared to death. But she was still laughing here. I'm fine, aren't I? Hubby, how did you know I was in danger here? When I went to find Nia Lingxian, I thought it might be a trap. So, I came back to ask the bodyguards to protect you. But I didn't expect to find you missing. Ning said she saw you coming toward the dressing room. I see. Hubby, you're so smart. I have to give you a thumbs up. Don't give me that. When we get home, I'll teach you a lesson. Qin Chu's face was dark. By the way, did you find Nia Lingxian? Not yet. Qin Chu shook his head. Hubby, she's with Hua Xiqian. Many of them must be on the cruise ship. What should we do now? I think everyone here is in danger. Hua Min had a lot on her mind. If everyone was in danger because of her birthday party, she would feel guilty. She suddenly regretted it. Why did she have to celebrate this stupid birthday? Chapter 3687. There should be more people on the ship, Qin Chu concluded after thinking for a while. What do you mean? Honey, do you mean, there are more people? Qin Chu didn't speak and just nodded. Hua Min frowned slightly. The situation seemed to be getting more and more complicated. He had thought that Hua Xiqian and his accomplices were on the ship, but now it seemed that more people with complicated identities had sneaked in. Their target should be Hua Min. At least for now, Hua Min was the most valuable person on the ship. Honey, it's windy here. Let's talk somewhere else. Qin Chu picked up a blanket from the dressing room and put it on Hua Min. Then he held her and walked out of the room. Hua Min was puzzled. Why didn't the strong anesthetic he made work on Hua Xiqian? Did he take the antidote in advance? It didn't make sense. How could there be an antidote for the anesthetic? And Nia Lingxian, whose temperament changed drastically tonight. She didn't look like she had lost her memory, but she was different from before. Could it be that she was being threatened? Was she forced to do this? Hua Min had a lot of questions in his mind, but he couldn't ask them. Because Qin Chu's meaning was obvious. Besides Hua Xiqian, there were people from other forces on the ship. So he had to be careful when talking to Qin Chu because he didn't know who was eavesdropping on him. At this moment, Zhen Rou was talking to her superior secretly in a corner of the room. Chief, that's what happened. So Hua Xiqian is really on the ship? The chief asked. Yes. I've been eavesdropping on Hua Min, so I know everything that happened in the dressing room. I'm sure it's Hua Xiqian. No one in the world would mistake Hua Min for someone else. Trust me, Chief. Zhen Rou reported excitedly. After such a long time, she finally got something. Hua Xiqian is here. Then the force behind him. The chief paused. Could it be Ian and Nalo? Did they come to China as well? No, there's no way I wouldn't know about them entering the country. Plus, the people who saved Hua Xiqian last time couldn't have been Ian and the others. By the way, Chief, I just heard Hua Min told Hua Xiqian that Lu Yan is here. I don't know if it's true or if he's lying. Hua Min say that himself. Yes. He said it himself. But I didn't get any news that Lu Yan has entered the country. You know Lu Yan is very resourceful. She might have used some other means. Then, have you found any suspicious people now? If Lu Yan is here, she'll show up. Then I'll keep an eye on Hua Min. If Lu Yan is here, she'll go to her sister. Okay. Once you find Lu Yan, report to me immediately. Yes, Chief. Okay. Keep in touch. After reporting, Zhen Rou felt much better. After keeping an eye on Hua Min for so long, she finally made some progress. Now, she just had to wait for Lu Yan to show up. When Qin Chu and Hua Min returned to the hall, they acted as if nothing had happened. The performance on the stage was still going on, and everyone was engrossed in it. Hua Min picked up his cell phone and sent a message in the private group. Hua Xiqian and his accomplices are on the ship. We're trying to capture them. It's dangerous outside. Don't leave the hall. Fuck. What's going on? Tang Chuan felt like his head was going to explode. What did it mean for Hua Xiqian to sneak in on such a day mean? Chapter 3688. Gao Ran, are you guys okay? Hua Min, we're fine. Jiang Shaowei, when did this happen? How long has he been here? Hua Min, I'm not sure. It should have been a long time. Wei Liao, it's just Hua Xiqian. I don't think we're scared. There are so many people here. Qin Chu, he's not alone. He has accomplices. Wei Liao, how many? Hua Min, I'm not sure, but Nia Lingxian is one. Suyu, what? Suyu thought he saw wrong, or that Hua Min had typed wrong. Hua Min, you're right. Nia Lingxian is Hua Xiqian's accomplice. Suyu, that's impossible. Mian, Nia Lingxian isn't that kind of person. I know her character. Hua Min, Lord Su, it's not about her character now. Nia Lingxuan's matter. It's complicated. Even I don't understand it. Anyway, she's a dangerous person now. Please be vigilant. Zhu Lingling, damn it. Hua Xiqian, that bastard, still dares to come back. I'm going to chop him into pieces. He bullied Mian for so long, and now he's here to cause trouble. Zhu Lingling and Hua Min had known each other for many years. Back then, she knew that Hua Xiqian always harassed Hua Min. That was why she didn't like that psycho. Now that she heard that he still dared to come back and cause trouble at a time like this, she was furious. Gao Ran, honey, calm down. Zhu Lingling, I can't calm down. I have to kill this bastard today to prevent future trouble. Gao Ran, as the family of a high-ranking officer in the Public Security Bureau, you shouldn't kill this and that. It's not good. Zhu Lingling, I'm willing to. If you don't like it, you can resign. Gao Ran, Hua Min, ahem. Excuse me, guys, this isn't the time to argue. I've discussed it with Mr. Qin. We must tell everyone about this as soon as possible. Hua Xiqian's target. I think he's after me, but I can't guarantee that he won't hurt my friends. Mr. Qin's already asked the bodyguards protect the 4 children and the elderly. Tang Chuan, what's important now isn't whether he can escape or not, but how many accomplices he has. If they really do something extreme, such as planting bombs on our cruise ship, we're done for. Master Tang's imagination was running wild. Hua Mian was silent. Should we dock the ship and evacuate the people? Qin Chu, I've already asked people to check. There are no custom-made bombs. Don't worry. Hua Xiqian doesn't even have a gun. So, we don't need to panic. We can't dock the ship. That will make it easier for them to escape. Gao Ran, Chu, are you saying that we're going to catch a turtle in a jar? Qin Chu, we can't let him go. Hua Xiqian is no longer scary. What's scary is the power behind him. Jiang Shaowei, I agree with Mr. Qin. Hua Xiqian is a disaster. We can't hide from him. We have to eliminate him. Suyu, leave it to me and An. The 2 of us are enough to deal with Hua Xiqian. The ship is only so big. He can't run anywhere. Hua Min was about to refuse when Qin Chu agreed. Okay. I'll leave Hua Xiqian and Nie Lingxian to you. If you run into them, you have to be careful. Suyu nodded. Okay. Hua Min looked at Qin Chu. Honey, you've left Hua Xiqian to Suyu and An. What about us? We have more important things to do, Qin Chu said mysteriously. Chapter 3689. Zhu Lingling, don't tell me the 2 of you are still going on a date. Gao Ran, don't worry, honey. Even if they go on a date, there's nothing they can't do. After all, Dr. Hua is so pregnant. Hua Min, Qin Chu, the 2 of you are so filthy. Hua Min, Director Gao, ever since you married Miss Zhu Lingling, you've become filthy. Zhu Lingling, no. Don't think too highly of him. He's always been filthy. I'm the one who brought out the filthy side of him. Gao Ran, honey, we agreed to fight against the enemy together. Why did you betray me first? Suyu, why are you still talking nonsense at a time like this? Hurry up and go clean the house. Gao Ran, I'll go clean the house with Lord Su and the others. You guys have to be careful. I think. Hua Xiqian. Oh, no, it should be Jack. He's Hua Xiqian's second personality now. I gave him 2 shots of anesthesia but nothing happened. That's why I think there's something wrong with his body. You guys have to be careful. Don't worry. I'll take care of that piece of trash. Suyu stood up and stretched his neck. And, boss, let's take it easy. It's not like you haven't fought him one-on-one before. It was quite difficult for you. Suyu looked embarrassed, ahem. Didn't I fight Hua Xiqian's first personality? It's not his second personality. Suyu tried to save his face. From what I've seen, his second personality is much stronger than his first personality, Hua Min added. Suyu covered his face and rushed out. He didn't say anything in the group anymore. Yes, their goal was simple. They just had to capture Hua Xiqian. Hua Min, Lingling, Xiaowei, Ning Ning, you guys stay with the kids. Don't leave the living room. It's safer here. Jiang Xiaowei, okay. Zhu Lingling, got it. Qin Ning, don't worry, sister-in-law. I'll protect my nieces. Tang Chuan, sister-in-law, what about me and Old Wei? Take some people and check the surveillance footage again. See if we missed anything. Also, be on guard if you meet any suspicious people. Tang Chuan, okay. Wei Liao, don't worry, leave it to us. Sis, Zhixin and I can help too. It was Ni Yang who said this. This kid usually didn't talk much, but at critical moments, he was very reliable. All of you should stay here and bide your time. It's not a good time to have more people. After all, we still don't know how many enemies there are, Huamin ordered. Okay, then we'll keep in touch through WeChat. Ni Yang nodded. Hubby, you just said that we have other things to do. What is it? Come with me. Then, Qin Chu held Huamin's hand and stood up. Watching them walk out, Zheng Ro put on her earphones and prepared to continue eavesdropping on their conversation. She followed them out, but when she turned around, they were gone. Which floor did they go to? Zheng Ro paced back and forth anxiously. Not far from her, about 5 meters away, Qin Chu and Huamin were watching from a corner. Seeing Zheng Ro follow them, Huamin understood what was going on. She looked at Qin Chu and was about to speak when Mr. Qin shook his head slightly at her. She didn't say a word, hearing no sound from the eavesdropping device. Zheng Ro thought it was broken. She took off her earphones and checked them. Seeing this, Huamin realized that Zheng Ro had been eavesdropping on them the whole time. Then who was she working for? Ian, Nalo, or Hua Xiqian's mysterious people? Or, could it be another new force? Chapter 3690. After all, Zheng Ro wasn't a professional spy. She was easily found out. She failed because she wasn't calm enough. When Zheng Ro gave up tracking the couple and turned back, Qin Chu had a magnet in his hand. He touched Huamin's hair closely. Then, he sucked out something that looked like an ant. If one didn't look closely, they wouldn't have noticed it. Then, Qin Chu glanced at the object in his palm and threw it into the vast sea. When did you start suspecting Zheng Ro? Huamin looked at her husband in surprise. I've always suspected her. Then how did you know that she planted a bug on me? You even know the location of the bug. Also, didn't you install an anti-eavesdropping device on me? How could I still be eavesdropped on? What should we do if she heard everything we said before? Honey, you have so many questions. Which one should I answer first? Qin Chu smiled gently. How can you still smile? God, I'm dying of anxiety, Huamin panicked. She had suspected Zheng Ro, but she hadn't realized that she had been tricked. So Zheng Ro had heard their conversation, including their conversation with Hua Xiqian? God, don't worry. Before answering these questions, I'll take you to see someone. Then you'll understand. Okay. Huamin didn't know what Qin Chu was up to, so she didn't ask. After the couple threw away the bugging device, Zheng Ro couldn't continue monitoring them. But she still didn't know what went wrong. After all, her plan was flawless. Qin Chu led Huamin toward the bow of the ship, Southeast Asia. Ian stared at the screen on the tablet and narrowed his eyes slightly. What are they going to do? He asked. Maybe after discovering that woman's listening device, he's going to confront her. Ian's men guessed. But on the screen, Qin Chu and Huamin suddenly disappeared. Where are they? Ian froze. They were here a moment ago. His men were also panicking. Get me all the surveillance cameras. Didn't you say there were no blind spots? I have to find them. Ian was panicking. Things seemed to be getting out of his control. Other than his men, Hua Xiqian, his accomplices, and the woman named Zheng Ro were all from other forces. Therefore, he absolutely could not let others beat him to it and snatch away the person he wanted. Ian searched through the images one by one, but to no avail. Qin Chu and Huamin were right under his nose. And they couldn't be found in the surveillance cameras. My lord, did they disguise themselves so that we can't recognize them? Idiot. How can they put makeup in such a short time? Something must have gone wrong. What should we do? Keep looking. I don't believe that two living people can disappear on a ship for no reason. This isn't transmigration. Ian was also incredulous. Because it was remotely controlled, he didn't know what happened on the ship. Qin Chu and Huamin didn't disappear. They were still on the ship. But the two of them disappeared from the surveillance cameras. Why was that? Because someone had tampered with the surveillance cameras. The purpose was simple. They didn't want anyone to see their whereabouts on the surveillance cameras. Inside the cockpit, Qin Chu held Huamin's hand and walked in. Then, he saw the old captain steering the ship seriously. Mian, look at who he is. Qin Chu's voice seemed a little mischievous. The captain turned around. It was an unfamiliar face. Huamin had never seen him before. It was the face of an old man in his 60s, wearing a white captain's uniform. But when he smiled at Huamin so lovingly, Huamin wanted to cry. Chapter 3691. Huamin's memory was amazing. She could remember everything she wanted to remember. So when the captain smiled, the floodgates of her memories immediately erupted. She opened her mouth excitedly but couldn't make a sound. She didn't know if someone was listening in. Was it safe? As if reading her mind, Qin Chu reminded her in a low voice. It's safe here. Say whatever you want. Only then did Huamin call out to the old man, Dad. Yes, this man was the professor. Although he looked different, Huamin would never forget that smile. The captain slowly took off his hat, walked over, and hugged his daughter. Happy birthday, child. Dad, why are you here? Huamin was so happy that she cried. She never dreamed that her father would come here to celebrate her birthday on this ship. She didn't receive any news before. Even Yen wasn't sure if the professor would come, let alone the professor. I haven't celebrated your birthday for so many years. I came to see you. The professor's original voice was also old. Then, when did you get on the ship? 10 minutes ago. 10 minutes ago. Huamin was surprised. The ship was in the middle of the sea, but no planes landed. How did her father get on? Then you are. Huamin was so excited and nervous that she stuttered. I swam here with Dad. A crisp voice sounded. Huamin looked in the direction of the washroom. At this moment, Lu Yan was leaning against the door. She was still holding a lollipop in her mouth. She was still wearing the cruise sailor suit. But she had long black hair and was extremely beautiful. Yan, Huamin's eyes lit up. There were so many surprises, one after another, this. Huamin didn't know how to describe her feelings at this moment. Come on, birthday girl, blow out the candles and make a wish. Lu Yan got a cake from somewhere. Although it looked ugly, one could still tell it was a cake. There was a candle on it, and Huamian didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Do you really want to do this? Huamin smiled with tears in his eyes. Of course. Don't everyone celebrate their birthdays like this? As for this cake, it's my first time making it. Holy shit, I didn't expect that I'm such a genius. I can make bombs to perfection, but I can't make a cake like this. Ha, you made this. Huamin burst into laughter. What do you think? Would I be stupid enough to buy such a cake? Hearing that the cake was made by Lu Yan, Huamin closed his eyes and made a wish without hesitation. Then she opened her eyes and said something rather shocking. Shouldn't the three of you sing me a happy birthday song? Qin Chu was speechless. Lu Yan, Professor, both Chinese and English are fine. I don't mind. Huamin chuckled. Sis, don't push it. I'm afraid that after we finish singing, those people will turn the sky upside down. Lu Yan chuckled. Did you and Dad really swim here? Huamin couldn't believe it. Of course. Lu Yan crossed her arms. Bullshit, we're thousands of miles away from the States. Do you think you're a turtle that swims around? Huamin looked like he wasn't a kid and didn't want her to lie to him. Lu Yan was exasperated. She pointed at Qin Chu. Brother-in-law, since my sister is pregnant and doesn't have a high IQ, please explain the process. I don't want to repeat it. Chapter 3692. Qin Chu nodded and put his arm around Huamin's shoulder. Yan and Dad took a private plane and then transferred to a submarine. When they were 1 kilometer away from our cruise ship, they got out of the submarine and swam over. They didn't want to be discovered. Huamin was dumbfounded. Then, the plane and the submarine are so big. How can they not be discovered? Huamin was astonished. They both have the ability to block radar detection. It's the legendary invisibility. You guys have worked hard. Huamian looked at her father and Yan. They had done this just to see her on such a special day. It was a long and arduous journey from the plane to the submarine and then to the cruise ship. After boarding the cruise ship, you guys stayed in the cabin and disguised yourselves as the captain and a sailor? Huamin understood. That's right. Lu Yan nodded briskly. Did Yan tell you that Zhenro eavesdropped on us? Huamin turned to look at Qin Chu. Now he understood what had happened. Yes. Qin Chu hadn't expected Zhenro to eavesdrop on Huamin. More importantly, Zhenro had brought advanced technology for military use. He wasn't prepared for it. When Lu Yan got on board, the first thing she checked was the eavesdropping device. Then she quickly notified Qin Chu and got rid of the things on Huamin. And then, the scene of the reunion just now happened. Sis, in order to see you, Dad and I really racked our brains. You have to treat us well. Tell me. What do you want to eat? I can get it for you. Even tangseng meat will do. Huamin couldn't suppress his excitement and took Lu Yan's hand. Tangseng meat is fine. I bragged to Dad that my sister makes good dumplings. Yes, yes, yes. I'll make dumplings now. Huamin turned to look at Qin Chu. Honey, I'll go get you the ingredients. Wait for me here. Qin Chu naturally knew what Huamin wanted to say. Dad, are you okay? Huamin hadn't seen the professor for a long time. Thinking back to the last time, it was at an amusement park in the United States. At that time, they didn't interact with each other. Later on, they only spoke on the phone a few times. The last time the professor came back to perform surgery on Qin Chu. Huamin was still imprisoned on a deserted island by Hua Xiqian. Therefore, this was the first real meeting between father and daughter. Huamin even felt that this scene had only appeared in his dreams. Good, good. I'm fine. You're about to give birth, right? The professor looked at his eldest daughter's swollen belly, and his heart was filled with emotions. Soon. Dad, didn't I tell you it's a boy? Where's your grandson? Lu Yan deliberately showed off. It's good to have a boy and a girl. It's a blessing to have both children. The professor was touched and nodded vigorously. At this moment, Huamin suddenly remembered something and asked Lu Yan. Yan, why are you here alone? Where's Qiao Fei? Ahem. I sent him away. Where did he go? Huamin froze. Las Vegas. Lu Yan was a little guilty. If it weren't for her seduction and letting Psycho Qiao take advantage of her, that guy wouldn't have gone there. However, without Qiao Fei's help, Lu Yan and the professor wouldn't have been able to enter so smoothly. Southeast Asia. Ian kept staring at the tablet, but he couldn't find anything. Any news from Lu Yen? Ian was afraid that Lu Yen would play tricks, so he asked someone to keep an eye on her. Sir, Lu Yen and Xiao Fei are at a casino in Las Vegas. They're very lucky and seem to have won tens of millions. Is this woman really that calm? Ian was a little puzzled. Chapter 3693. Maybe she doesn't dare to come because she knows our boss won't let her go. So she thinks I won't dare to do anything to her in Las Vegas? They have a lot of bodyguards. Plus, after Qiao Nan disappeared, the Qiao family values Qiao Fei. If we do something now, we'll alert them. Ian didn't say anything. He picked up a glass of red wine and swirled it. His subordinate continued to speak in fluent German, plus, we have an agreement with the American mafia that we can't fight in the casino. If they find out, we'll be in a very difficult situation. I think it's better to capture her sister rather than spend the effort to capture Lu Yen. After all, that woman is easier to capture. Do you think the ZG government is free? Ian asked coldly. At least it's easier than capturing Lu Yen. Our people are lying in ambush nearby and we can monitor the cruise ship. So, we have a better chance. Really? Then tell me, why did the two people disappear from the surveillance footage? Ian thought it was strange that Qin Chu and Huamin disappeared from the surveillance footage. We're asking hackers to investigate. Don't worry, boss. In the cabin, Huamin used the ingredients Qin Chu brought back to make dumplings for his dad and Lu Yen. She never thought that such a happy moment would come so quickly. Sis, Dad, and I miss them so much. Do you want to bring them over? Lu Yen couldn't help but ask. Not now. The two kids are too obvious. Let's wait until everything is over. I'll bring the kids to see Grandpa. Qin Chu didn't want to go to the lobby to pick up the kids, even though he understood his father-in-law and sister-in-law's eagerness to see the kids. The professor nodded. Chu is right. We'll talk about it later. Okay. Sis, I'll help you. How did you make these dumplings? Lu Yen walked to her sister's side playfully. Forget it. Miss Lu, if you reach out, I'm afraid my dumplings will explode. Lu Yen, the professor and Qin Chu both smiled and enjoyed watching the sisters bicker. Ian's worry was justified. Lu Yen had indeed tampered with the surveillance footage. Therefore, even if a hacker came to investigate, it would be very difficult for him to find traces unless he was a top-notch hacker. He assumed that the two of them were hiding on purpose. There was a reason why Qin Chu had asked Su Yu and the others to look for Hua Xiqian. If Hua Xiqian saw that Su Yu and the others had come to deal with him, he would underestimate them and think that there were no other forces on the ship. This way, it would be easier to catch him. Of course, these were all strategies that Qin Chu and Lu Yen came up with. Huamin didn't know about them. After being chased by Qin Chu, Hua Xiqian hid in the storage room on the third floor of the cruise ship. Su Yu, Shaoan, and Gao Ran were more than enough to deal with Hua Xiqian. President Su, Chief Gao, be careful. The space here is rather narrow and winding. Okay. Everyone, be careful. They slowly went up to the third floor. At this moment, Nia Lingxian suddenly walked out of the lounge. She had changed into a golden evening gown. In her hand was the latest LV luxury bag. Her manager was right beside her. Miss Nia, are you cold? I'll get you a jacket, no need. Therefore, when Nia Lingxian and Su Yu met, both of them froze. President Su, did you come here to see me? Nia Lingxian smiled. Su Yu didn't think much of Nia Lingxian, but Qin Chu and Huamin had emphasized in the group chat that there was something wrong with her. Therefore, the three of them didn't dare to let their guard down. Where is Hua Xiqian hiding? Su Yu looked at Nia Lingxian and asked coldly. Chapter 3694. President Su, are you out of your mind? Who's Hua Xiqian? Nia Lingxian pretended not to know him. Stop pretending. I know why you came back. President Su, what are you talking about? I don't understand a word you said. Nia Lingxian turned around and asked her agent with a smile. Do you understand? The agent shook her head, then, she looked at Su Yu. President Su, Miss Nia is very tired from the long-distance flight. She just rested in her room for a while. Did something happen on the ship? Su Yu looked at Nia Lingxian and then turned to En and Gao Ran. You two continue searching. I want to talk to her. Okay. En nodded and continued to search the rooms on the third floor with Gao Ran. Nia Lingxuan's agent saw that the two of them were about to talk, so she found a chance to go to the bathroom. The two of them looked at each other with a few meters between them. President Su, what do you want to talk to me about? Nia Lingxian sneered. Do you remember how many years you've been at Imperial Star? Of course. Then do you remember when our anniversary is? Huh, why? Are you testing me? President Su, you're too childish. If I'm not Nia Lingxian, can you find someone who looks exactly like me in the world? That's hard to say. Other than looking like her, you don't look like her at all. The Nia Lingxian I know isn't as personality as you. People change, President Su. Don't forget what you did to me. After hearing her words, Su Yu was confused again. He did feel guilty toward this woman. Nia Lingxian was considered the most virtuous female artist in Imperial Star. She never had any scandals, never flirted with male actors, and didn't even take on sex scenes, nude scenes, or kissing scenes. She liked Su Yu wholeheartedly, but she didn't get any response. Su Yu also felt that he was responsible for her quitting the entertainment industry and going abroad. So after Nia Lingxian said this, he was really confused again. Judging from her sad eyes, it should be Nia Lingxian. What? President Su, are you feeling guilty? Do you feel guilty? Nia Lingxian saw that Su Yu was in a daze, so she took the opportunity to talk and walk forward. Su Yu looked up. I do feel a little guilty, but there's no right or wrong when it comes to relationships. So, don't use my guilt to trap me for the rest of my life. That's right. Why would I trap you for the rest of your life? I'm not the one who trapped you for the rest of your life. It's Huamin. Nia Lingxian suddenly mentioned Huamin, which caught Su Yu off guard. His mind wandered again. While he was distracted, Nia Lingxian suddenly dashed forward. A shiny dagger had appeared in his hand out of nowhere. By the time Su Yu reacted, it was already too late. So even if he dodged, his ribs were still cut by the dagger. Su Yu's hand that was covering the wound was stained with blood. You really aren't her. Su Yu knew that Nia Lingxian didn't know any martial arts at all. It was impossible for her to be so agile. Moreover, according to Nia Lingxuan's personality, even if she hated Su Yu, she wouldn't use a knife. So, Huamin and Qin Chu were right. There was something wrong with this woman. Unfortunately, he was careless and distracted just now. You're really good. I didn't even stab you. The woman with the dagger sneered. Without saying anything, Su Yu flew up. There weren't many people who could fight Su Yu one-on-one. He was already a martial arts master when he was in the army. Even Hua Xiqian, who was so physically strong, was no match for Su Yu. Not to mention this woman in front of him. After a few moves, the woman was obviously struggling and was pressed to the ground by Su Yu. Tell me, where is Hua Xiqian? Su Yu didn't show any mercy this time. He pressed down on the woman's arm and interrogated. Chapter 3695. With your current strength, you're no match for him even if you find him. Bullshit, it's not like I haven't fought with him before. Obviously, Su Yu was enraged by the woman's words and cursed out loud. At this moment, he heard the sound of a scuffle. When Su Yu turned around, Nia Lingxian suddenly knocked her head hard against Su Yu's. The two of them bumped into each other, Suyu felt like he was going to see stars. He thought that Nia Lingxian was going to take the opportunity to run away. He didn't expect her to knock him out. Fuck, it hurts so much. What kind of trick is this? Is she going to die together? Suyu touched his head, and tears were about to fall from his eyes. He looked down at the unconscious woman. He was dumbfounded. At this moment, he couldn't care less about the pain. He got up, covered his head, and walked towards the room where the sound came from. As expected, Gao Ran and An were already fighting with Hua Xiqian. President Su, you're injured. An turned around and saw that there was blood on Su Yu's ribs. It was even dripping down. He was terrified. It's fine, just a superficial wound. Where's the woman? Gao Ran asked. She fainted. With that, Suyu picked up a wooden chair in the corner of the room. He threw it at Hua Xiqian's body. If it were an ordinary person, they wouldn't be able to stand up even if they didn't faint. But to everyone's surprise, Hua Xiqian was shorter, but he could still continue fighting. Fuck, is he still human? Suyu was stunned. Mian said that he's a little strange. Let's be careful, Gao Ran reminded them. Then, Suyu, and Gao Ran blocked Hua Xiqian in the storage room on the 3rd floor. The space wasn't very big, but it was about 18 square meters. The distance between the four of them was not very far. Everyone was on high alert. It had to be said that Hua Xiqian was very agile. Fighting 1 against 3, he didn't seem to be strenuous at all. Instead, it made Gao Ran and the others a little breathless. Did Qin Chu only send the 3 of you? Hua Xiqian smiled evilly. Fuck off. You still have the face to call us trash. Who are you? Don't you have any fucking idea in your heart? Suyu was already hot-tempered. After being provoked like this, he immediately became angry. Jack, right? You're dead meat today. This was the first time Gao Ran talked to Hua Xiqian's second personality so directly. It had to be said that his gaze was indeed different from the Hua Xiqian of the past. His personality, condition, and even some familiar body movements were different. This wasn't something that could be faked. Hua Min said that this wasn't Hua Xiqian, this was his second personality. That was why he sent 3 masters to fight at once. He didn't expect to be looked down upon by this guy. Chief Gao, you came at the right time. We have an account to settle. You were also involved in the prison incident, right? Gao Ran knew that he was talking about how he and Qin Chu worked together to kill him. Okay, if you have the ability, let's settle it properly. Gao Ran wiped the sweat from the corner of his mouth and smiled. You, a police officer, actually used despicable means to kill a criminal. Do you think you're worthy of your reputation? Jack mocked. There are differences in how police officers deal with people. For people like you who are a threat to society, I have the obligation to destroy you. Gao Ran had a strong sense of justice. Old Gao, don't talk nonsense with him. Let's go together. If we can capture him alive, then we'll capture him alive. If we can't, then we'll destroy him. Suyu had lost his patience and was eager to try. Chapter 3696. You 3 scumbags. In your dreams, then, the 4 of them started fighting again. Inside the cockpit, Hua Min had already made dozens of dumplings. She had always helped her mother when she was young. So she was very familiar with it, especially today, she was making dumplings for her beloved family. Hua Min was doing very well, and Qin Chu was just helping from the side. Occasionally, he would talk to the professor. The professor valued this son-in-law very much. Hua Min and Lu Yan were also chatting happily. So, Yan, you asked Xiao Fei to take the person who disguised as you to Las Vegas? That's the only way that idiot Ian will believe it. But what if they attack Xiao Fei and your double? Hua Min was a little worried. No, sis, don't worry. Las Vegas is the territory of the American Mafia. Those Americans aren't to be trifled with. Ian isn't that stupid. Even if he wants to attack, he'll wait until Xiao Fei and them leave the casino. He can't open fire there. Did Xiao Fei agree to do this? Huamin felt that this method was ridiculous. At first, he was adamantly against it, but then I coerced him. Thinking of this, Lu Yen couldn't help but laugh. After all, Psycho Qiao doted on her. Even though he missed her, he knew that she wanted to celebrate her sister's birthday with him, so he forced himself to take the double to Las Vegas. Xiao Fei is really good. Yen, don't be too pretentious. If I don't, I won't be Lu Yen. Yen, you just said that Ian installed a lot of cameras on the boat, right? Yeah, that guy is a peeping Tom. Then don't worry, I've already done something. From the moment Dad and I came up, he saw what I wanted him to see. That's good, sis, your identity has been exposed, and you're still so high profile on your birthday. Aren't you just making Dad and me worry? If I didn't do this, you wouldn't have come. Okay, so you set this up to lure Dad and me here. The two sisters were laughing and joking. The professor's eyes gradually warmed as he watched from the side. How many times had he imagined this heartwarming scene? His two daughters had already grown up. They lived a quiet life by his side, playing and laughing together. If only Linya was still here, that would be great. At the mention of Linya, the professor felt sad again. At this moment, Lu Yen received a private message in her earpiece. After listening carefully, she suddenly asked in a serious tone, Sis, how long will it take to cook the dumplings? At least 15 minutes. Alright, that's enough. With that, Lu Yen put on her mask and hat and walked out. Xiaoyan, where are you going? I'll help you clean up the trash. Before Huamin could ask further questions, Lu Yen opened the cabin door and ran out. She was so fast that Huamin couldn't even look at her. Daddy, she's fine. Keep cooking the dumplings. She'll be back before the dumplings are ready. The professor seemed to know Lu Yen well and wasn't worried at all. Honey. Do you want to help? Huamin was still worried. If even Lu Yen can't handle it, what can I do? Qin Chu couldn't help but chuckle and pinch Huamin's face. When Lu Yen went, the situation was indeed at its worst. And Su Yu and Gao Ran were all injured. Suddenly, a sharp weapon appeared in Hua Xiqian's hand. It was a perverted thing that looked like a bamboo tube, but it could shoot out steel wire ropes that were especially sharp. It was obviously a specially designed weapon. Although it wasn't as good as a gun, it was very aggressive. Okay, gentlemen, thank you for your hard work. Now, it's my turn. Lu Yen walked in with a mask on. However, when he heard her familiar voice, Shaoan was shaken. Chapter 3697. And wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and his eyes lit up. You're in heat, Su Yu turned around and saw An looking at the mysterious masked person with infatuation. He was also puzzled. President Su. She is, and was extremely excited. Before he could finish, the three of them were attracted by the sound. When Lu Yen came in, she was barehanded. Therefore, facing Hua Xiqian, who had an improved weapon, she was definitely at a disadvantage. Gao Ran, and Su Yu were all experts in hand-to-hand combat. However, even with all of them combined, they had no chance of winning. It was obvious that Hua Xiqian's weapon was a huge threat. Another one who wants to die. Humph. Jack sneered. Die? You're talking about yourself, right? Lu Yen stretched out her hands unhurriedly. At this moment, everyone noticed that she was wearing a thin silver glove. Jack's weapon stabbed at Lu Yen, and the steel wire inside twisted in the air like a snake. Be careful. And couldn't help but remind her. He was really afraid that she would get hurt in front of him. Even though he knew that she was invincible, he still broke out in cold sweat for her. Lu Yen watched the steel wire fly toward her and caught it with her bare hands. Then, she pulled hard. Jack was sent flying into the air by her. He flew in the air and landed heavily. That glove seems very powerful. It can withstand the steel wire, Gao Ran muttered to himself. The three men could only watch this soul-stirring duel from the sidelines. Jack, who was thrown to the ground by Lu Yen, reacted quickly. After falling to the ground, he got up and rushed up again without frowning. The steel wire danced in the air at an extremely fast speed. However, Lu Yen wasn't restrained at all. Instead, her movements became more agile. And had seen Lu Yen fight before. This wasn't the first time. But in the past, he used to deal with street gangsters and didn't use any skills. This time, and was completely dumbfounded. Lu Yen was extremely fast. Sometimes, you couldn't even see how she attacked. Jack was knocked to the ground. Such good skills. You are. Jack narrowed his eyes and looked at the person in front of him, as if he already had an answer in his heart. Lu Yen was still wearing her sailor uniform, but she was still petite compared to the man. Because he was wearing a human skin mask, his eyes and nose were not very eye-catching. Because he was wearing a black mask, his facial features couldn't be seen clearly. The hat covered her original long hair. Even Su Yu and Gao Ran couldn't recognize Lu Yen, let alone Jack. Jack didn't say anything. Lu Yen grabbed the steel wire with both hands and twisted it in the air. Jack was brought to the ground by the inertia. Before he could get up, Lu Yen stomped on his back. Then, he used his right knee to viciously kick down. Lu Yen's sudden burst of strength made Jack spit out a mouthful of blood. This person is too strong. Is he Chu's helper? Gao Ran's heart skipped a beat as he watched. Too fucking awesome. He's practically beating up that pervert. At this moment, Suyu was full of admiration for this mysterious person. Of course, he didn't know that it was Lu Yen. Chapter 3698. Tell me. Where's your master? Whose dog are you now? Lu Yen looked down at Jack impolitely. Subdued and wounded, Jack was pinned under Lu Yen's body and tortured. He had a smile on his face. You don't deserve to know my master. Do you believe that I have 10,000 ways to make you wish you were dead? Do you want to try them all? Lu Yen thought it was possible to extort confessions with words and deeds. When necessary, it had to be done. Hee hee. Okay. But I have to remind you, before you try to force confessions out of me, you'd better check on Qin Chu's twins. What did you do to them? Lu Yan's heart skipped a beat. The twins were her sister's and brother-in-law's treasures, as well as her father's. They're holding the plush dolls I gave them. What did you put in them? Lu Yen raised her fist, wanting to beat the bastard to death. Of course, you're good at it. Boom. Jack laughed exaggeratedly, mimicking the sound of an explosion. Impossible. No one can bring a bomb on the ship. Qin Chu had told Lu Yen that there were high-end scanners on the ship. If someone brought a bomb, it would sound the alarm. If the twins really had a bomb on them, the alarm would have sounded long ago. You're smart but you're stupid now. Of course, I can't get on the ship with a bomb, but I can bring raw materials and make a bomb myself. Hearing this, Lu Yan's heart sank. She turned on the microphone so that her father could hear the conversation through the earpiece. The professor was calm and didn't show any emotion. Hua Min was still happily making dumplings. The professor said to Qin Chu in a low voice, "Go and bring the twins here." Qin Chu nodded and turned to leave. Then, the professor turned on a function on his watch, and the images on the ship turned into static in all the surveillance cameras. What's going on? Ian frowned when he saw the static on the screen. Sir, our hackers said someone interfered with the signal. Is Lu Yen here? Impossible. Lu Yen is still in Las Vegas. This is the scene in the casino. His subordinate came over with another tablet. Ian looked at it carefully. Lu Yen and Xiao Fei were playing baccarat with many people at the table. They never left. Then, what's going on? Could it be that Qin Chu discovered our surveillance device? Destroyed? Ian guessed. Sir, do you want our men to investigate? No, don't act rashly. Let's wait for a while. Ian didn't dare to let his men move. After all, his men weren't on the ship. He wouldn't use it unless he had no other choice. Lu Yen knew that with her dad's help, no matter how powerful the bomb was, it would be easily solved. Therefore, he punched Jack in the face again. Idiot, don't you have a bomb? You can press the remote control. Go ahead and explode, hee, I know you have experts. Those bombs won't be a problem. Since you know, why are you still doing this? Don't you feel bored? Let's see how you're going to escape today. Lu Yen had always looked down on this psychopath, so she wanted to strangle him to death. Hee, I know I can't escape, but I can, die, with you. Then, Jack pressed a button and a beeping sound came out. Run! And yelled anxiously. Lu Yen pounced out almost instantly, then, thick white smoke rose. Chapter 3699. Everyone thought that he had a bomb strapped to him. But they didn't hear an explosion after so long. Could it be, Lu Yen got up from the ground? Sure enough, the thick white smoke hadn't dispersed yet, but Hua Xiqian was already gone. He must have run away when the smoke was thick. Lu Yen chased after him, but she only saw faint splashes in the sea. Damn it, I actually let you run away. Lu Yen didn't expect Jack to run away right under her nose. But she knew that she couldn't chase after him. Because the force behind Hua Xiqian couldn't be underestimated. It was a force that could save someone from her. Seeing Jack run away, Lu Yen went downstairs in a flash. She didn't even have time to say anything to En and the others. Then, she returned to the cockpit, in the utility room on the 3rd floor. The 3 men waited for the smoke to disperse before they slowly got up, and was the first to get up. He looked around but didn't see the mysterious person. What happened? Were we killed by the explosion? Gao Ran was still in a daze. Where is this place? Where am I? Lord Su pretended to have lost his memory. Please, masters, stop playing, okay? Hua Xiqian ran away. Can't you see? En was speechless. We saw it. What can we do? We didn't let him go. Hey, En, you seem to know the mysterious person just now. Who is it? Why are you so nervous? Su had already guessed who it was, but he still teased En, President Su, you don't have to ask me that. You know what I'm talking about. Xiao Nian bit her lips shyly. He was 100% sure that it was Lu Yen. So, Lu Yen still came to Dr. Hua's birthday, right? And couldn't suppress the joy in his heart. What are you talking about? Gao Ran didn't seem to know anything. Nothing. Anyway, our mission is completed. Let's go and report to Qin Chu. Su Yu led the way downstairs. In the hall, the performance was still going on. No one knew what had happened outside. Qin Chu carried the 2 children into the cockpit. The surveillance footage returned to normal. Ian, who was far away in Southeast Asia, saw the peaceful scene on the cruise ship. Although he also felt that it was strange, he still couldn't decipher this set of strange images. Of course, this was because no one knew that the professor himself, a top genius, was here. Therefore, dealing with these trivial matters was naturally a piece of cake. After Su Yu and the others came out, they sent a WeChat message to Qin Chu and told him about Hua Xiqian's escape. Qin Chu only replied that they should return to the hall and continue watching the show. Everyone knew Qin Chu's character, so they didn't ask much. President Su, what is it? Su Yu smirked when he saw Xiao An's hesitant look. Can you ask Qin Chu, ask what? Lu Yan. And really wanted to see Lu Yan. Yes, he had to at least say something to her. Qin Chu didn't mention it. Maybe it's not convenient for him to reveal it. If it's really Lu Yan, you'll have the chance to see her. And felt that his boss's words made sense, so he didn't say anything else. Then, they went to the hall. Suyu's wound was simply treated, and everyone returned to their seats. Han Yueyao was happy to see Suyu return. However, she found it strange when she saw how haggard and weak he looked. President Su, did you swim in the sea? Why do you look half dead? Han Yueyao was curious. Chapter 3700. Yeah, we even met a shark. We fought with the shark for a while, haha. Keep bragging. Hearing Su Yu's words, Han Yueyao chuckled. Then, without thinking, they continued sitting in the living room. The unconscious Nia Lingxian was picked up by Lu Yan. Of course, she was still unconscious. Lu Yan was a weirdo. Afraid that she would miss the dumplings, she stuffed Nia Lingxian into the cockpit lounge. It wasn't big, but it wasn't noisy. Is this appropriate? Qin Chu frowned slightly. She won't wake up for a while. Don't worry. Why did you bring her back? Qin Chu didn't want more people to know that the professor and Lu Yan were here. She has research value. What kind of research value? Qin Chu was puzzled. Well, I'll tell you after I finish the dumplings. Brother-in-law, Qin Chu was speechless. Then, Lu Yan tossed her into the cockpit. Huamin had already put the dumplings into the pot. The two children danced around their mommy and the professor, who had taken off his human skin mask. Grandpa. Why didn't you tell me you were coming? Seriously, there was a hint of blame in Little Bean's words. It wouldn't be a surprise if I told you in advance. The professor held the chubby Little Bean. Grandpa. It's so good to see you. Pudding was also touched. You two seem to have grown taller. Like an ordinary old man, the professor surrounded the two children and looked at them carefully with doting eyes. Oh, the two little ones are here. Lu Yan's heart melted as soon as she entered the room. She didn't want to see the two little ones because time was tight. But Jack, that bastard, gave the two children teddy bears during the clown show. There were indeed things installed in the bears. The professor immediately took the two children and removed the teddy bear bombs. Then, he took the opportunity to get close to his two granddaughters. Hearing Lu Yan's voice, the two children exploded. Lu Yan tore off the skin mask on her face. Below was a delicate face. Auntie, wow, what a series of surprises. Pudding and Little Bean rushed over. He hugged Lu Yan's leg. Did you see that? This is what it means to ride on someone's coattails. Huamin looked at Qin Chu and sighed. Qin Chu just smiled and didn't say anything. Then, he silently helped Huamin clean up the mess after making the dumplings. Under such a dangerous atmosphere, it was not easy to have such a warm scene in the cockpit. Auntie, you're back. It's great, Auntie, I miss you so much. Auntie, you look so cute. Auntie, you've become prettier again. Aunt, why didn't you call me? Auntie, why did you sneak away last time? The two children instantly turned into chatterboxes. Even Pudding, who never liked to flatter, turned into Little Bean. They were full of praise for Lu Yan. Then the two children told each other how much they missed each other. How am I supposed to answer all your questions? Lu Yan smiled. Then answer them one by one. I know Auntie is smart and has a good brain. Little Bean pursed her lips. I can answer them, but let me eat first, okay? I just had a fight and I'm hungry. Then, Lu Yan looked up at Huamin. Sis, are the dumplings ready? Chapter 3701. Right now. Give me a minute. Huamin stirred the steaming dumplings in the pot with a spoon. 1 minute later, sure enough, the white dumplings went abroad. Due to the lack of time, Huamin only made dumplings with meat fillings. The professor sat in the middle, followed by Qin Chu, Huamin, Lu Yan, and the twins. There were 4 adults and 2 kids. Sitting at the table in the cockpit, they had their first reunion dinner. Do you want to take a selfie? Lu Yan asked, itching to take a selfie. Don't ask for it. The professor rolled his eyes at her. Hearing her dad's words, Lu Yan stuck out her tongue and didn't dare to say more. Huamin scooped out several plates of dumplings. Then, he looked at his father guiltily. Dad, I'm sorry. You came in a hurry, so I didn't prepare any dishes. There are only dumplings. No, this is enough. Should I go to the dining room and get some dishes? Qin Chu was about to stand up. Don't go. The image has returned to normal. Someone will see you on the surveillance camera, Lu Yan reminded him. Qin Chu immediately understood what was going on. He nodded and sat down. Auntie, what do you mean? Who? What surveillance camera? Little Bean was a gossipy little diva, so she didn't understand the conversation between her dad and auntie. Bad guys. They're afraid that bad guys will follow Dad and catch us. Oh, it's okay. Auntie, you're good at martial arts and can protect us, I'll give you 12 points for your flattery. Huamin couldn't help but laugh. Auntie, eat. Don't talk nonsense with Little Bean. She's the most talkative. Little Bean picked up a dumpling and put it in Lu Yan's bowl. Thank you, Big Pudding. Lu Yan rubbed Little Bean's head lovingly. Dad, eat. Every time Huamin called his dad, he felt touched. The professor also felt emotional. For an ordinary family, a family reunion and a meal of dumplings was very normal. But for a family like theirs, it was harder than ascending to heaven. Huamin knew this, and the professor knew it even better. After this meal, he didn't know when they would meet again. Pessimistically, he didn't know if Lu Yan, Huamin, and the professor would still be alive the next time they met. After all, the current situation had already been pushed to the teeth of the storm. However, Huamin knew that they were the best birthday present for her today. They were what she wanted the most and were the most important. Yan, is Qiao Nan still with you? Qin Chu asked casually. No, he was rescued by someone. But, that cowardly tortoise doesn't dare to show his face yet, afraid that you and Xiao Fei will kill him? I guess so. Hee hee. Lu Yan looked at Xiao Nan with disdain. What about Xiao Fei's father? I don't care. Xiao Fei has been handling it himself. I believe he can handle it, Lu Yan said casually. At this moment, Lu Yan suddenly thought of something. She asked Huamin, Sis, you said that Huasiqian, also known as Jack, is very strange, right? Yeah. He was hit by my special anesthetic, but he's fine. Huamin still found it hard to believe. He almost suspected that he had used fake drugs. When I fought with him, I noticed it. What did you notice? Huamin was curious. After being severely injured by me, he was able to get up immediately as if he wasn't the one who was injured. This doesn't make sense. A human's body can't withstand such heavy injuries. Even with my resistance, it's impossible for me to react so quickly. I suspect, body modification. The professor suddenly interrupted. The older the wiser. Dad, you guessed right. I suspect his body was modified. Lu Yan guessed while eating dumplings. Hearing Lu Yan's words, Qin Chu and Huamin looked at each other deeply. Chapter 3702. Dad, what's body modification? Huamin was also a medical student, but this term was new and unfamiliar to him. Body modification is an improvement on the basis of the original body, the professor replied calmly. Is that physical, mental, or purely physical, or genetic? Huamin seemed to be very interested in this topic. It's all possible, but Hua Xiqian's case is hard to say. We haven't caught him yet, so we can't test it. Dad, let's not talk about this for now. The key thing is that there aren't many places in the world that can do such a thing. It seems like the power behind Hua Xiqian isn't an ordinary person. I should say that it's very powerful. For the first time, Lu Yan didn't speak highly of her opponent. That's right. I suspect that he didn't put the bomb in the teddy bear to explode. Maybe it was just a test. But if that's the case, we're in more danger because our opponent is not only powerful but also hiding in the dark. The professor analyzed calmly. So, their target is me, my sister, and you, Dad. Lu Yan knew that Hua Xiqian didn't come to the ship just to get revenge on her sister. The person behind him didn't just want to catch Hua Min. In the end, he wanted the thing in her dad's hand. Dad, what's in your hand? Lu Yan wanted to talk about the mysterious object with the professor. But the professor interrupted her. Let's eat. It's rare for us to be together as a family. Let's not talk about this. It was obvious that the professor didn't like this topic. It was taboo for him. Even Hua Min and Lu Yan, his biological daughter, didn't want to talk about it. Grandpa, what are you talking about? I don't understand, Little Bean complained. It's okay. You'll understand when you grow up. The professor smiled lovingly. Grandpa, I want to be a doctor when I grow up. Can you teach me? On a whim, Little Bean told him about her ambition to be a doctor. The professor was pleased. No wonder you're the descendant of a medical family. You're ambitious. You have a goal at such a young age. No, Grandpa, that's not why I became a doctor. That's... The professor was confused as he looked at his chubby granddaughter. Me? I just want to practice using the scalpel. If anyone dares to bully me, I'll cut them open. Professor, Hua Min, Qin Chu was speechless. Lu Yan laughed. Hua Min, hubby, take care of your daughter. She's making me lose face. Hua Min covered his face in embarrassment. She didn't know that Little Bean was going to be a doctor. She had no idea that a doctor wanted to operate on her enemy. Lu Yan laughed so hard that she was no longer in the mood to eat dumplings. Puzzled, Little Bean looked around at the adults with strange expressions. Especially when the corner of Grandpa's mouth twitched slightly. Is it funny? Little Bean was confused. Ha, that's funny. Little Bean, you're such a genius. Lu Yan continued to laugh. Everyone, stop laughing. I'm serious. Little Bean pouted, still a little angry. Little Bean, if it's because of this, I won't be a doctor. If anyone bullies you, Daddy will protect you. Qin Chu looked at his daughter with a gentle expression and taught her with great care. How can that be? Daddy will grow old and die. He can't protect me forever, Little Bean said confidently. Chapter 3703. You're good at analyzing the future. Qin Chu was exasperated. His daughter was so smart that she was almost a fairy. It's okay. Even if Daddy is gone, you still have Gao Buiyuan, right? Hua Min pretended to be calm and continued to talk nonsense with his daughter. Mommy, you're so smart. How can you say something like that? Little Bean couldn't believe it. Hua Min, Little Bean, men are unreliable. What if Buiyuan abandons me when he meets a prettier girl? So, I can't pin my hopes on him. Hua Min, Qin Chu, Lu Yan, sis, do you think my analysis is right? In the end, Little Bean glanced at Pudding, who was silent beside her, with a happy expression. You're right. You're right. Sis, I told you. When Daddy and Mommy are old and gone, you'll be the closest person to me in the world. Little Bean flattered. What do you want to do? Pudding knew this girl wouldn't flatter her for no reason. Sis, you're rich. You can sponsor me with money. Ha! don't even think about it. I made all my money by trading stocks. It has nothing to do with you. Pudding refused to give her money. Daddy, did you hear that? Yes. Chin Chu nodded cooperatively. So, Daddy, when you make your will, you can give me more money. After all, I can make money by myself. Pudding, Chin Chu, little guy, are you done fooling around? Do you want to make me laugh to death? Standing beside Little Bean, Lu Yan pinched Little Bean's cheeks lovingly. This little guy was talking so much nonsense. It turned out that he wanted to get more wills. This reason was really ridiculous. At this moment, a subordinate's voice came from her earpiece. Lu Yan had finished eating and stood up. I'm done. I'm going to get some fresh air. You guys enjoy your meal. Hua Min looked at Yan with a heavy heart. Where are you going? Nothing, sis. I'm really just getting some fresh air. Lu Yan smiled and walked out of the cabin door. However, Hua Min knew in his heart that she was definitely not just here to get some fresh air. Sure enough, Lu Yan put on the human skin mask and the crew uniform and walked onto the deck. Then, he entered Ian's line of sight. There was one of the biggest cameras he had installed in this area. Of course, it couldn't be seen visually, but it was a wide angle, one of the main surveillance images. At first, Ian didn't find Lu Yan's appearance strange. After all, she was just an ordinary sailor. But gradually, the image on the screen changed. Disguised as a sailor, Lu Yan danced on the deck. Moreover, it was a particularly wacky dance that involved shaking one's buttocks. With her back facing the camera, she twisted her butt, and danced with joy. From time to time, he would raise his middle finger on both hands. It seemed unintentional, but, at this moment, Ian's expression had already changed. Sir, we'll arrange for snipers to kill this guy from afar. Everyone thought that he was a lunatic. They were afraid that he would be an eyesore to Master Ian, so they quickly made arrangements. Ian didn't say anything, which meant that he agreed. He didn't think there was anything special about a crazy sailor. Of course, that was until the news came 5 minutes later. Sir, something bad happened. Speak. Ian raised his head, and a sense of foreboding rose in his heart. He stared at the surveillance image. The guy seemed to be still twisting his butt and dancing. Suddenly, an unknown anger rose in his heart. Chapter 3704. Sir, our men have, go on. Ian's face turned gloomier as he listened to his subordinates stuttering. They've all been killed. Ian didn't say anything. Sir, this is too sudden. We were still on the phone 15 minutes ago, and they were still on standby. But now we can't contact them. Their communication devices are also broken. Ian didn't want to listen to these explanations at all. He glanced at the surveillance footage and saw that the young sailor had already turned around. It was a very unfamiliar face. He had never seen it before. But that sailor seemed to know that he was watching him. He smiled and said something to him on the surveillance camera. Because it was Chinese, he spoke very quickly and didn't hear him clearly. Get someone who understands Chinese and translate it for me. What did he say? 5 minutes later, the translator stood beside Ian, trembling with fear. Sir, what did that person mean by his words? He said, obviously, it wasn't anything good. Even the translator didn't dare to say it. If you don't want to die, hurry up and say it. Ian finally lost his patience. He stood up and grabbed the translator's neck with one hand. I'll say it, I'll say it. Sir, that person said that you'll always be as stupid as a pig. Ian, everyone thought that the boss would explode in anger and that a storm would be inevitable. But, he didn't. Ian smiled and sat down. My little vixen. How are you so smart? Why didn't I think of you coming? Ian muttered to himself. His subordinates listened ambiguously, but they didn't dare to ask again. Then, 50 seconds later, the surveillance footage on Ian's side was all cut off. Sir, I'll go find a hacker to fix it now. No need. Ian reached out to stop him. The images that we saw were what she wanted us to see. Lin Sanjiu said. Ian already knew that Lu Yen was behind everything. He might as well admit defeat. This time. However, he had to find time to settle the score with Lu Yen for the dead snipers. Satisfied, Lu Yen went back to her cabin. Qin Chu brought the two children back to the hall and coaxed them to get fruits for their grandfather. At this moment, only Huamin, Lu Yen, and the professor were left in the room. Dad, what's wrong with this woman? Lu Yen remembered that Nia Lingxian was still unconscious when she dragged her in. The professor walked over and raised his hand to lift her eyelids. He looked at her pupils and then felt her pulse. Then, he said with certainty, she was hypnotized. Hypnosis? Huamin was slightly startled. This was something she had never thought of. Yes, it's a very advanced technique called deep hypnosis. This kind of hypnosis can last for a very long time, up to more than 10 days. Then, in the depths of her brain, there's another person controlling it. How do I explain it? It's like another soul has entered this body. The professor tried to put it simply. What about the original soul? Where is this person's original personality? It has fallen into a deep sleep. What should we do? Will she wake up? She's my friend's sister. Dad, please save her. Thinking that Nia Lingxian had been tampered with, Huamin couldn't bear to see anything happen to Cici's sister, so he begged the professor in a panic. Chapter 3705. It's not a big problem. She's just hypnotized. I'll make her some medicine. Give it to her. The professor took out his medicine bag and quickly made the medicine. Sis, when will your medical skills be as good as Dad's? I thought he was the reincarnation of Hua Tuo. Ha! Lu Yen joked. I'm not that smart. Even if I die of exhaustion, I won't be able to reach Dad's level. Huamin knew the professor's medical skills very well. Soon, the professor handed a light pink bottle to Huamin. Give it to her. She'll wake up in an hour. Also, when she wakes up, she might not realize what happened during the hypnosis. Don't be surprised. Okay. Dad, the people behind Hua Xiqian are really despicable. How could they use such a despicable method to embarrass themselves? Lu Yen didn't think it was a big deal. No, they are very powerful. I have not seen such deep hypnosis for more than 10 years. You two sisters, from today onwards, you must be even more careful than before. Those people will not let this matter rest. The professor and Lu Yen didn't plan to stay for long. Lu Yan's subordinate drove the submarine to the cruise ship. Boss, we can go now. Her subordinate's voice came from her earpiece. Lu Yen looked at the professor. Dad, we should go now. So soon? Huamin was a bit unprepared. To be more precise, he was reluctant to leave. Soon. According to the original plan, Dad and I would stay for at most an hour. Now, an hour has passed. We ate dumplings and danced. Lu Yan's eyes were full of smiles. Okay. I know it's not easy for you to come here. I won't stay any longer. Anyways, Dad, Yen, you two are the best birthday presents for me today. Shouldn't I hug you here? Lu Yen interrupted. With tears in his eyes, Huamin walked up to Lu Yen and gave her a big hug. Although Huamin wanted to go forward and hug her father, she saw the professor standing there with a serious face, so she didn't dare to go over. Sis, wait for the birth. Listen to brother-in-law. You might not know how much trouble brother-in-law and I helped you solve on the ship today. In short, you're in a very dangerous situation now. I know. Huamin nodded obediently. Let's go. The professor wanted to say something else, but he remembered that Mian was a calm person, so he didn't say anything. Therefore, he turned around and left through the secret passage. Dad, you have to take care of yourself, Huamin couldn't help but shout as he looked at the old man's back. The professor only hummed in acknowledgement, but he did not turn around. Then, he and Lu Yan jumped into the sea through the secret tunnel. Lu Yan's subordinates welcomed them into the submarine. Huamin knew that the three of them did not feel good about being separated like this. However, as long as those bad people were alive, the three of them would not be able to enjoy the happiness of a family reunion. After the professor left, Huamin had no time to feel sad. She fed Nia Lingxian the potion the professor made. Sure enough, she woke up in less than 20 minutes. Doctor. Hua. Why are you here? Nia Lingxuan's voice was soft, just like before. It's my birthday party. Huh? Party? I. Why am I here? The professor was right. Nia Lingxian couldn't remember anything. At least, she had lost all her memories during the hypnosis. Chapter 3706. You really don't remember anything? Nia Lingxian stood up slowly. She was still confused. Don't worry. Think about it slowly. What's the last thing you remember? Huamin slowly explained to her, I remember. I was in Los Angeles. I went for coffee, and then. I don't remember anything. The last thing Nia Lingxian remembered was drinking coffee in a coffee shop in Los Angeles. Obviously, someone had done something to her at that time. The coffee was drugged, and she was taken away to be hypnotized. Then, she went to New Orleans, saw Cici, and asked for an invitation. At that time, Nia Lingxian was already under someone's control. Thinking of this, Huamin felt scared. Dr. Hua, what happened? Nia Lingxuan's eyes were filled with fear. She remembered that she was in the United States. Why was she on a cruise ship? And she was in China. Why didn't she remember when she came back? Miss Nia, this. I can't explain it in a few words, so you have to remember what I'm going to say next. Okay. Don't talk about this anymore. Don't tell anyone, not even your agent, and don't mention anything about your return to China. You'd better book a plane ticket and go back as soon as possible. Just pretend that nothing happened. Also, in the future, you have to send more bodyguards. It seems that some people with bad intentions are targeting you. Of course, I suggest you go to New Orleans to accompany Cici. She's pregnant and has nothing to do there. Also, the security at Rick's house is top-notch. Of course, these are just some suggestions I'm giving you. Thank you, Dr. Hua. Nia Lingxian knew that Huamin might be hiding something from her, but she knew that Huamin wouldn't hurt her. Then, Huamin walked Nia Lingxian out and went to the living room. Seeing Huamin return, and was the first one who couldn't sit still. President Hua. Yeah. Where's Lu Yan? And couldn't wait. She left. Huamin wanted to say that Lu Yan had never been here, but since An asked, he must have seen something, so he decided not to lie. Left? So fast? Shaoan found it hard to believe. And, you know Yan's identity, don't you? Yes. Then you should know that she has a lot of enemies. I know. So the longer she stays here, the more dangerous it will be for her. Yes, I understand. Her return is a secret, and I hope you won't tell anyone. I won't tell you. It's just a pity that I didn't get to see her and the food. And lowered his head in disappointment. Ever since he found out about Lu Yan's identity, he had given up on his wishful thinking. He just wanted to see her, but it turned out that just seeing her was so extravagant. I'm sorry. If there's a chance, I'll give it to her the next time she comes back. All right. And nodded. Just as he was about to turn around, he suddenly thought of something and turned to Huamin. President Hua, President Su is injured. When? When he was catching Nia Lingxian, she stabbed him. Then, he wrestled with Hua Xiqian. I asked him to get you to bandage his wound, but he refused and insisted on enduring it. But I think it'll be bad if the wound gets infected. Okay, I got it. Leave it to me. Hearing that Su Yu was injured but didn't say anything, Hua Min felt bad. So, she walked directly to Su Yu's seat. You, get up and come with me. Hua Min's face was dark. What's going on? Su Yu didn't know why Hua Min was suddenly angry. Chapter 3707. She was also puzzled by Hua Min's attitude towards Su Yu. That shouldn't be the case. Hua Mian was always kind to everyone. Not to mention Su Yu, who was so close to him. Dr. Hua, what can I do for you? Su Yu followed Hua Min out anxiously. Then, he couldn't help but ask tentatively. However, Dr. Hua didn't say anything and just led the way. Then, Lord Su suddenly felt that something was wrong. Hua Min's expression didn't look right. Su Yu followed her until they reached the door of Hua Min's private lounge. Hua Min stopped in his tracks. Before he could speak, Su Yu glanced at the room awkwardly and then looked at Hua Min. Dr. Hua, this isn't a good idea. Hua Min crossed his arms and bit his lip as he looked at Su Yu without speaking. Although I'm tall, strong, handsome, and unparalleled, you have a husband. If we do this, we'll be letting President Qin down. What are you talking about? Hua Min didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Besides, you're so pregnant now. I'm not interested in pregnant women. I'm sorry. Hua Min, so, Dr. Hua, I'm going to disappoint you this time. I can't do anything to let President Qin down. With that, Su Yu turned around and found an excuse to leave. Stop right there, Hua Min suddenly roared. Su Yu was so scared that he immediately stopped in his tracks. Damn it. He wanted to fool him, so he deliberately made up nonsense. But to his surprise, Hua Min didn't seem to let him go. Come in with me. Hua Min said and opened the door. I don't think it's a good idea. If someone sees us. Su Yu pretended to be in a difficult position. In fact, he was afraid that Hua Min would punish him. Shut up and come in. Hua Mian was swift and decisive, and she didn't hold back at all. Su Yu had no choice but to silently follow Hua Min into the room. Sit there. Hua Min pointed at the head of the bed. I'll stand. I'm not tired. Ha. Su Yu, believe it or not. I'll make you cry. Hua Min's threat. Sure enough, Su Yu obediently sat down on the edge of the bed upon hearing her words. Then, Hua Min turned around and took out the medicine kit. Ever since he became a doctor, he became more aware of his own safety. Whether he was on a business trip or on a trip, a medicine kit was indispensable. Especially after having twins, he often had some fever medicine, cold medicine, and anti-inflammatory medicine at home. Looking at Hua Min's medicine kit, Su Yu finally understood why Hua Min asked him to come. This one has such a big mouth. I'm going to slap him when I get out. Su Yu sighed. I really want to slap you, Hua Min said angrily. Su Yu was speechless. Why didn't you say you were injured? It's just a small injury. Plus, I'm a man. Do I have to cry and tell everyone I'm injured? Su Yu laughed. You're such an idiot. Hua Min shook his head helplessly. Facing the woman in front of him, even if she called him an idiot, Su Yu couldn't talk back. Because, he didn't want to. Lift up your shirt. Is this really okay? Won't Qin Chu misunderstand? Su Yu asked anxiously. Su Yu felt that this scene was very dramatic. What if Qin Chu came in and saw him taking off his shirt? Then, he and Hua Min would be alone here. It would be hard to explain. He would be fine, but what about Hua Min's reputation? Chapter 3708. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Hurry up and take it off. Dr. Hua, you're very rude tonight. Su couldn't help but laugh. Although he knew that Huamin's attitude was bad, he still felt warm. After all, Huamin was angry because he was injured. I'm already being nice to you. If it weren't for your injury, I would have kicked you a few more times. Huamin was angry. He had known Su for a long time, and they couldn't be more familiar with each other. However, in such a situation, he was injured, but he didn't say anything. Huamin felt that as a friend, he shouldn't do that. Su took off his clothes, and the wound on his ribs that Nie Lingxian had scratched was immediately exposed. Although it was just a superficial wound, the wound was relatively long, and the blood was a little dry. It still looked very hideous. I'll help you disinfect it first. It might hurt a little. Bear with it. Huamin picked up the disinfectant iodophor, dipped a small pair of tweezers in the medical cotton, and gently wiped Su's ribs. At that moment, Su felt warmth all over his body. It seemed that he hadn't been so close to Huamin for a long time. Huamin's technique was very professional. Perhaps he was afraid of hurting Su, so he was very gentle. He was very careful and kept his eyes on the wound. Therefore, he didn't notice the change in Su's eyes. Su lowered his head and looked at Huamin's serious face. At that moment, he almost couldn't help but want to brush away the hair on her forehead. However, this action was too intimate. He was really afraid that Huamin would feel awkward. Therefore, even though he really wanted to, he held back in the end, and said that other than here, where else are you injured? Ah, it's just that when I was wrestling with Huasiqian, my ankle was entangled by the steel wire. It's not really an injury. It's fine, you don't have to treat it. Before Su could finish his words, Huamin squatted down and pulled up Su's trousers. Because of her pregnancy, it was extremely inconvenient for her to squat down. Su immediately helped her up. No. I'll do it myself. It's not convenient for a pregnant woman like you to squat down. Don't affect the baby. After that, Su revealed the ankle that had been injured by the Huasiqian steel wire lock. Fortunately, it wasn't very serious. He could vaguely see a red mark. Jack has always been despicable. I'm afraid he poisoned you. Let me deal with it for you. After that, Huamin used disinfectant to carefully clean Su's wounds. Finally, he bandaged his injured ribs with gauze. Finally, he was done. No wonder you're a highly acclaimed miracle doctor. Even your bandaging skills are so good. You're amazing. Su gave him a thumbs up. Don't flatter me. In the future, if you don't tell me when you're injured, you'll die. Ha, I'm just thinking that it's not serious. I'm not a woman, I'm not that pretentious. Su scratched his head. It's not a matter of pretentiousness. It's a problem with your body. Okay. I got it, doctor. Nie Lingxian, what happened to her? Did you catch her? At the mention of Nie Lingxian, Su remembered that the woman had disappeared. She's fine. I've arranged a speedboat to take her away. She'll fly back to the States tonight. What? How can you let her go? Isn't there something wrong with her? Su was anxious. There's nothing wrong with her. She was just being used and hypnotized by someone. Hypnotized? Su was unfamiliar with the term. Then, Huamin briefly explained Nie Lingshuan's situation. Su finally understood. No wonder she suddenly became so powerful. She was controlled by someone. That's scary. By the way, and said Lu Yan was here, right? Su also wanted to know if the mysterious person who suddenly came in and beat up Huasiqian was Lu Yan. Chapter 3709. Yan, she's indeed back. It's really her. Where is she? She left. So fast, yeah. But, our boat hasn't docked yet. How did she leave? Was it the same as sending Nielingxian off? A speedboat? Su Yu. I can't explain everything about Yen in a short time. I'll tell you later. Don't ask. Ha. Don't misunderstand. I'm not interested in Lu Yen. It's Mr. An, I know. And asked me about it. Sure enough, this guy is really. Su Yu couldn't help but laugh. Are you thirsty? I'll get you a glass of water. Hua Min suddenly asked gently. So nice. Dr. Hua, do you have a favor to ask of me? Su Yu wasn't used to Hua Min suddenly being so nice to him. Yes. I want to take one of your kidneys. Will you give it to me? Hua Min said angrily. Su Yu, Hua Min actually had mixed feelings about Su Yu. Most of all, he felt guilty. Su Yu was always at the forefront of her family's affairs. This time, Su Yu was duty-bound to hunt down Hua Xiqian because of Qin Chu's words. She felt that Lord Su was really loyal. So, she really wanted to treat him better. Even though she had deliberately kept a distance from him before, she still wanted to treat him better. Su Yu was a good man among good men. After Zeng Ro failed to eavesdrop, she could only wait for death. However, she was still a person who didn't want to be left out. She saw Su Yu follow Hua Min out and sneakily follow behind them. Then, she saw the two of them walk into the room together. At first, she was a little surprised. Then, she smiled strangely. In the hall, the performance had finished. It was time for the buffet. Tang Chuan was very generous. The ingredients he chose were all Hua Min's favorite seafood dishes. Any table would cost an astronomical price. After taking care of the two children, Qin Chu planned to settle down the people who had been dealt with on the ship. She bumped into Zeng Ro. Chairman Qin. What's the matter, Miss Zeng? Qin Chu had always been extremely cold to women other than Hua Min. Do you know where Hua Min is now? Qin Chu didn't say anything. He knew that she had more to say. To be honest, if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed that she and Su Yu. If you have something to say it all at once. My time is a bit precious. Qin Chu didn't have a good impression of this woman, so he didn't have any patience. Lu Yan had put an anti-eavesdropping device in her bag. As long as she got off the ship and contacted her boss, Lu Yan would be able to find out who Zeng Ro worked for. I saw Hua Min and Su Yu together. They went into a room. So what? Qin Chu's face was calm, as if this had nothing to do with him. President Qin, you can't be that generous, right? You know that Su Yu has always had feelings for Hua Min. The two of them went to a room together. Miss Zeng, don't meddle in their affairs. Whatever happens between them has nothing to do with you. You're not Su Yu's subordinate. Even if you're jealous, Han Yueyao should tell me, not you. Qin Chu's words hit Zeng Ro hard. Her words made Zeng Ro speechless as if she had swallowed a fly. President Qin, I'm just reminding you, thank you for your kindness, but I don't need it. Don't you want to see what they're doing in the room? Even if they're friends, why do they have to talk in the room? Zeng Ro deliberately raised her voice to attract the attention of the people around them. Qin Chu's face turned darker and darker, thinking, this woman is really vicious. Chapter 37:10. Zeng Ro, what on earth do you want? If you want to drive a wedge between us, I advise you to save it. Qin Chu's eyes were extremely cold. He thought the person standing before him was a woman. If he didn't see her, she would have been lying on the ground by now. President Qin, how can you think like that? I'm good friends with Dr. Hua. How can I drive a wedge between them? I just think, she and Su Yu are alone in the room. What's the matter? Zeng Ro's unreasonable behavior attracted more and more onlookers. Qin Chu wasn't a hot-tempered man, otherwise, he would have thrown Xingro into the sea to feed the sharks. Before Qin Chu could speak, the door to the innermost lounge opened. Suyu walked out with Huamin. Xingro, if you have any grudges, just come at me. Don't give my husband a hard time. He's worked hard for my birthday party, so I don't want to bother him with random things. With a smile, Huamin took Qin Chu's arm. Mian, what are you talking about? That's not what I meant. I just think you're a married woman. You went into the room alone with Suyu in front of so many people. Those who know will know that you're good friends, but those who don't know will think more. I'm doing this for your own good. Xingro continued to play innocent. I'm sorry. The whole world knows that Lord Su and I are good friends. You're the only one who doesn't know. Suyu finally couldn't stand it anymore and looked at Xingro coldly. What's the matter? I'm just curious. Why can't you talk outside with Dr. Hua? Why do you have to go to the room? Xingro didn't let go of this point. Embarrassing Huamian and Qin Chu wasn't the most important thing. The most important thing was that he was jealous. Why did Suyu only have eyes for Huamin? She didn't even care about Han Yueyao. But this average-looking woman who was pregnant could make Suyu fall head over heels for her. God was unfair. Xingro, don't you think it's a bit dirty? I'm injured, and Huamin is a doctor. He helped me treat the wound, really? Xingro didn't believe him. Then, the rest of the people gathered around to watch. Everyone was whispering. Now that Xingro had made such a fuss, the impact was indeed not good. Young Master Su, forget it. You don't have to explain so much. Your girlfriend didn't even say anything. Why do you have to explain to someone who has nothing to do with you? With a sneer, Xingro is irrelevant. Xingro knew that Huamian had a sharp tongue and could humiliate people without using any dirty words. She had the ability to do so. I don't care if she's irrelevant or not. She can't slander me. Infuriated, Suyu lifted his shirt. The gauze under his ribs was clearly visible, then, his ankle. The onlookers were surprised. I was unlucky today. I accidentally got injured, so I had to treat my wound. If this can still be misunderstood, then I can only say that someone is blind. Alright, let's not stand here anymore. We've seen enough of this farce, so let's disperse. As for you, come with me. Suyu pointed at Xingro rudely. Xingro smiled disapprovingly and followed Suyu out. Huamin's eyes were complicated. Xingro was really an uncontrollable factor. When she was useful, she was really useful, but when she was annoying, she was really annoying. Honey. Huamin looked up at Qin Chu and wanted to say something but stopped on second thought. Chapter 37:11. You don't have to explain. I believe you. Qin Chu thought Huamin was going to explain to him about Suyu. Huamin was exasperated. It's not about that. We've known each other for so many years. I don't need to explain. I mean, Xingro is so strange. She hid her true colors well. When she saved me last time, I almost believed her. If Yen hadn't found out that she used a bug on me, I wouldn't have known that she was so cunning. But why would such a cautious person turn against me because of Suyu and me? Shouldn't she pretend to be friends with me to get more information? Huamin analyzed Xingro's actions calmly. A woman's heart can't be judged rationally. Maybe she's sincere to Suyu. Of course, Qin Chu was just guessing. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to figure out a woman like Xingro. First, he didn't know who was behind Xingro, at least not yet. Second, did Xingro approach Huamin to eavesdrop on Huamin or did she have a higher goal? Thirdly, with her current position, should she pretend to be friends, or should she tear him apart? Huamin and Qin Chu couldn't see through such a contradictory person. You're right. This strange phenomenon reminds me of something from a long time ago. Huamin said quietly. Which thing? Honey, in high school, there was a girl named Yuli in our class. Do you remember her? No, Mr. Qin answered without hesitation. Huamin was speechless. He had never cared about people he didn't care about. That chubby girl. She came from a good family. Her parents owned a chain of fast food restaurants. I still don't remember. Huamin, okay, then I'll get to the point. When I first came to class, I didn't know anyone, and the atmosphere in our class had always been cold and distant. So I didn't have many friends. At the time, I wasn't close to Lingling, so I hung out with Yuli for a while. She was really nice to me back then. You know, I wasn't pretty and my family wasn't rich, so I couldn't figure out why she wanted to get close to me. So out of sincerity, I treated her really well. But later, I accidentally overheard her talking about me with other girls in the girls' restroom. She used words like poor bastard, down and out, taking advantage of others, and eating and using her things. I was shocked. She did treat me to food often, but I didn't take advantage of her. But I didn't expect her to talk about me like that. I racked my brains, but I still couldn't figure out why she would do that. Even when I had a cold and sneezed, she would ask for leave to buy medicine. But she didn't stop complaining to other people. I thought about it for a long time, but I still couldn't figure it out. You're right. Maybe, she has a split personality. Qin Chu was confused. Sometimes, the friendship between girls wasn't as good as plastic flowers. Later, I thought Yuli was a contradictory person. On the one hand, she was nice to me and enjoyed the fact that she was a good friend. On the other hand, she kept slandering me. She made everyone think that I was a bad person. What she did was meaningless, so I wondered if Zheng Rou's behavior just now, before Huamin could finish, Qin Chu nodded in agreement. It's totally possible, but Zheng Rou obviously has a higher EQ, so we must be careful. In a remote corner of a corridor on the cruise ship, Suyu brought Zheng Rou here. If you have something to say it here. Zheng Rou's tone wasn't friendly. Zheng Rou, are you going to ruin me for the rest of my life because I didn't accept your pursuit? Hee. Suyu turned his head and asked with a sneer. Zheng Rou was surprised. She hadn't expected Suyu to have such a dark side. Chapter 37:12. Lord Su, you're exaggerating, don't talk nonsense with me. I didn't say anything about your attitude toward Han Yueao, but, Suyu paused in the middle of the sentence. Zheng Rou sneered and continued. But Huamin can't do that because she's the one in your heart. So, you can't let her suffer a little. Hee, right? Then your decent girlfriend is just cannon fodder. I really pity her, just like me. Now I finally know why the women around you hate Huamin to the core. Because, you're a stupid man. Who would like Huamin if you treat her like this? When you look at her, you look like you're looking at God. Zheng Rou's tone was full of sarcasm. She was indeed unhappy. Why could Huamin still be doted on when he was like that? And no matter what she did, Suyu wouldn't look at her. She thought that Suyu had a good impression of her after living in his mansion for so long. But, let's not talk about Huamin. Zheng Rou, what do you want? Nothing. Lord Su, what are you talking about? You sound like you've been wronged. Zheng Rou, don't think that I don't dare to touch you because of your father's status. Suyu was a bit annoyed. He couldn't tolerate this woman's attitude and her actions. Of course I know you don't care about my father. Who are you? You're the young master of the Su family. In such a prominent family, my father's position is nothing. So, I don't use my father's position to do anything bad. Then don't you think I'm too kind? Suyu glared. But I don't. Zheng Rou, your uncle is still in Qinchuan prison, right? Suyu suddenly said something that had nothing to do with their current topic. At the mention of her uncle and Qinchuan prison, Zhengro's eyes changed. How did you know? Haha, if I want to investigate your family, I can investigate all your ancestors. You know why your uncle was arrested, and so do I. With your father's current position, there's no way he can save him. Your uncle's case is neither big nor small, but if it's serious, he can be executed immediately. So, don't try to find fault with me. I've been very kind to you. I don't owe you anything. If you push me too far, not only will I kill your uncle, but I can also drag your father down. I can investigate your father's background for 3 days and 3 nights. Enough, don't say any more. Zhenro had never thought that Suyu would investigate her background one day. Moreover, Suyu's power was terrifying. Of course, it wasn't all because of his grandfather and father. Suyu also had his own methods. In the Zheng family, Zhenro's uncle was taboo. Back then, she had risked her life to do things for the chief because that person could save her uncle's life. But now, Suyu had grasped her weakness. I really didn't think that you would threaten me one day. Zhenro gritted her teeth, no longer as arrogant as before. I don't want to either, but you've gone too far. Zhenro, you have to give face to people. Otherwise, you'll end up in a bad position. What do you think? Then, Suyu smiled and took out a cigarette, lighting it up handsomely. Zhenro admitted that Suyu had his unique charisma. Even though Suyu was a little evil, she still couldn't let go. She still wanted this man. You're tuning into the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.